Hello there, Capricorn. Welcome to your second half of January 2023 love reading. Okay, let's see what's going on with you guys. Ooh, the moon energy. Might be some hidden emotions or some secrets, something being hidden from you. Or maybe you're hiding something. And then we have the Six of Pentacles. Okay, maybe you're trying to balance something out here. The general energy around you is the Magician. So you are manifesting at this time. So it looks like things are working out. Maybe you're keeping it a secret that you're able to manifest, that you're really good at it. Magician is Aries and Aquarius energy. In the past, we have the Page of Wands. Someone might have came to you with a message, or you received some kind of communication, some kind of knowledge about something here. Let's see. Page of Wands we have. Oh, we have a peacock. Someone strutting their stuff, someone showing off, someone very fancy or very good looking, getting a lot of attention. Someone might have reached out to you. Let's see, Page of Wands. Look at the Page of Wands. Okay. So what's coming in the very near future? The Hierophant. Taurus energy, commitment, conformity, structure, Taurus. So there might be someone wanting a commitment with you, or there might be some kind of structure, some kind of this could also be an organization, vocation. Okay, what else could be coming in for you? Let's see. Two of Pentacles, a decision, balancing things out, trying to make something work here. Okay. Now your outside influences. You can also be juggling things here. Multitasking. We have the Eight of Wands. Communication. Something coming towards you quickly. Maybe someone wants to speak to you. There might be a lot of back and forth communication, or things might be really taking off. Also, you might be getting really busy. And your energy. Let's see what's going on in your energy. Ooh, Scorpio energy. The Death card. Okay, so there's some kind of ending. You're going through an ending, a new beginning, a major transformation. So right now, that's your energy. You're going through something big. Some kind of change here. Okay, so, and their hopes and fears, we have the World. Okay, so you're probably looking forward to this ending for a new beginning, a new start. And then we have 10 of Cups for your possible outcome here. That's good. And the Nine of Swords. And the Four of Wands. Okay. I would say someone might be getting married, but there might be a little anxiety around this. We do have the Wheel. This is destined, divine timing. Wheel of Fortune, changing your luck here. So yeah, with the 10 of Cups, this is like happy around the home life, family, but someone is in a lot of despair, anxiety, insomnia. Could be because of upcoming wedding, or it could be that someone's knows you're getting married and someone else is worried about this, that they're thinking about this. Okay. Definitely could be a marriage here, especially the Hierophant over here. Okay, guys, so let's see. And the World card, ending, new beginning, ending single life, being married. Yeah, major transformation. What about the Moon here? Is hidden emotions or something hidden? Pisces energy, what's going on with that? Ooh, the Six of Wands. Well, there's going to be some kind of victory. You're going to be celebrating something here, getting acknowledged for something. I like that. And the Six of Pentacles. This could be given to two people, or this could be, trying to balance things out. So let's just go on with the Six of Pentacles. Ooh, Ace of Wands. Okay, there's a passionate new beginning. You could be getting compensated for something you do. Maybe you didn't get compensated before. Now it's coming in. There is a new passionate beginning, a spark of inspiration here. What about the Magician? The Nine of Pentacles. You're doing something by yourself. You're manifesting here. Independence. Good reading. Okay, what about the Page of Wands? Some kind of communication in the past? The Death. Scorpio energy. Ending, new beginning. Something happened in the past and someone might be trying to, or someone might have tried to reach out for you. Might have ended a connection and there's someone trying to reach out. They might have been kind of proud with their peacock here. or kind of a show-off. Okay, let's see. What about the Hierophant? We have the Five of Pentacles. Some might have felt that you left them out in the cold, or you might have left someone for someone new. Okay, what about the Two of Pentacles? And we do have the Two of Pentacles. Let's make it a choice. Choice options, trying to balance things out. Ooh, the Ten of Swords. Yeah, I definitely feel like someone, Death card here twice. The World card. The Ten of Swords. Yeah, someone definitely ended something with someone for something from something new here. What about the Eight of Wands? Why is the Eight of Wands here for your outside influences? We have Queen of Swords. Yeah, someone might cut someone out, and now they want to come talk to you. So let's get the charm on the Queen of Swords. Yeah, someone might be taking a leap of faith. They want to transform. This is transformation again. So I think someone's coming in to speak to you. I will take you as a Queen of Swords. You can, vice versa that if you need to. What about the Death card? Seven of Wands. Whatever you're doing here, whatever it's ending for new beginning, is putting you in it feels like a higher status. You're achieving something above the rest. What do we have here? The World card. Okay. So why do we have the World card in your hopes and fears? Queen of Pentacles. Okay, I think you want to have a secure family life, or you could be dealing with a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Queen of Pentacles. Magical. Here we have a fairy. Something might feel magical, feel different, feel like a fantasy maybe. But this is nurturing, loving energy, being very comfortable here, financially comfortable. What about the Ten of Cups? Why is the Ten of Cups here? Five of Wands. Might be competition for something here. Yeah, I think that someone's in competition with you or for your love. Also could be arguments, fights. Okay, what about this Nine of Swords? Oop, that one flying out. Okay, so the Four of Swords. Someone wants to heal this, but they don't know how to. It's in reverse. Something happened with you and someone else, and they want to try to heal this. Now, you do have the Four of Wands. This is commitment. You might be moving in with someone to get married. I think someone else is not too happy about that. And we have here, ooh, the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, this is a long-term commitment and financial stability. We do have the Page of Wands returning here. Okay, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, someone wants to speak to you. They're coming in. They're coming in with a message. Same one that's back here. The Death, there's an ending. They have a lot of love for you, this person. They want to talk to you. Okay. Page of Wands. Okay, let's see what else we got here. What else do we have here for Capricorn? Someone definitely wants to talk to you. It feels like you're in a really serious connection here, and someone might return and might destruct us here. They don't want to let you go. Let's see what else we get. What else do we have here for Capricorn? Ooh, Ten of Cups again. Nice. Oh, and this card wanted to flop out. What is it? Queen of Pentacles. You're very financially secure here. Very happy home. You might have a new home or beautiful home, or you're focusing on your home. You're very comfortable in your financial situation. If not, you will be. Someone is hanging on, waiting. You maybe had to wait for a while for this to happen, or someone's waiting to come to approach you. Yeah, somebody's moving away from something. Someone's coming to see you. Someone definitely wants to speak to you. I think they're going to give it one last shot. Because may they know that you're getting married, and they're being divinely guided. I don't think they can keep themselves away. They don't want to lose out on this opportunity here. But it might be too late. They might have waited too long. Okay, let's see what else we have here. spying on you. We got the spy guy, spy girl. Okay, yeah, someone's watching you, spying on you. Maybe checking out your social media. Want to get in contact with you. I feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of nervousness with this person, worried that it's too late. They're looking, they're researching, they're trying to find out something here. Oh, we have I don't know this. This is the swans, but it looks like, oh, why is this card upside down? Ooh, this. Okay, that means something. This one's, okay, so we have someone that has a lot of love for you that wants to come in here. We have this, looks like mother and child. It might be something to do with a mother and child. Or, it could be, I guess, a couple. This seems like a big difference in the size here, but you might be learning something new, too. Okay, let's get the Page of Swords. Now, this Knight of Cups was hidden, but, sneaking in. So someone is definitely going to try to sneak back into your life. They're watching you. They're trying to find out what you're up to. They're trying to find out more information about you. They might be asking around or watching social media. They're definitely digging for information. You might also be learning something new, starting something new. Okay, let's see about this Knight of Cups. Cat. Independence, psychic, balance. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Okay, let's see what else we have here for you guys. Ooh, the Page of Cups again. Or I didn't get that yet. Why did I think I had the Page of Cups? Oh, we have the 2 Pages of Wands. Okay. Now we have the page. This person might be immature. A lot of pages here. But also pages are always information. News coming in. Communication. This person might be coming in with an apology. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Let me get a charm on this one. Transition. Dragonfly. I almost like this person maybe feels your energy in the 5th dimension. You could also be moving, traveling, relocating too with the 6 of Swords. I think someone holds you in high regard. You're above the rest. You stand out. You get attention. Let's see. There's going to be a celebration, or you might be even invited to some kind of social event. It could be a party, a wedding, any kind of, maybe even out to dinner or drinks or coffee. There is competition for your love here. 10 of Pentacles. Wow. Okay, you are coming into a time of celebration, of commitment, of financial security. Everything's going your way. This is beautiful. You do have someone that doesn't want to let go of you, though. Okay, so now let's get something on this Queen of Pentacles. Expose. Friend or friends. Excited. So someone's very excited and something's going to be exposed. It might be exposed by a friend or friends, or maybe friends or friends are being exposed. Okay, what about this Page of Pentacles? Soulmate. Healing. Phone call. Okay, this person is a soulmate. They're going to call you to try to heal the situation. They're thinking heavily about you. They're watching you because they want to try to take another shot at this. They're hoping you are willing to do so. Knight of Cups. I don't feel like this person feels like the person you're with is not right for you. Oh, now we have spying. Oops, I just dropped one. Oh, sugar, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay, let me come off the camera for a minute. Let's see if I can find this so I don't waste. Okay, the one that I dropped was actually very soon. And TikTok came out too. I had that in my hand, but I dropped the very soon. Actually, very soon seemed like it jumped out. Someone might be really anxious. They're running out of time. Because you are committed to someone here. You're in a commitment. They feel like they're running out of time. They're spying in here. We have a spy guy here. We have spy in here. Okay, what about the Page of Cups? We have more than one person feeling that way. Let's see here. We have marry, pleasure, family. Okay, so maybe you were married to this person. They enjoy your company. You enjoy their company, or something about they want to get married. Families. Maybe the family could be that the family would be very happy if you married this person, whether it's your family or their family. Take it out, rearrange the words, and listen to your intuition. See what's right for you, because it's not going to be the same for everyone. What about this page of wands? We have caring, thinking, confused. Okay, this is the energy from the past. You ended this with this person. They still care about you and they think about you a lot. And they're probably confused for why it ended, maybe. Now, some of you are going to say, no, they know why. Yeah, well, maybe they do. But it's going to be different for different people. So it's Queen of Pentacles, committed, hidden, separate. So either someone hid that they were in a commitment, or they hid that they're separated, or they're committed to, I don't know. You guys, if it makes sense, doesn't make too much sense to me, but it makes sense to you. What about this Queen of Swords here? We have together, past life, the end. So maybe someone feels like, or you feel like you had a past life together with someone and then it ended, or I don't know. Yeah, I can't get anything else on that. I asked and they don't give me. So my guys really try to help me help you to use your intuition. So I'm trying to teach people to use their intuition more. Here we have never will you future. Okay. There might never be a future with someone, or that's the way someone feels about it, but they might ask a question that starts with will you? Or is it possible, or something? But we do have the will you here. So take it if it resonates. Okay, now let's see what signs we have here. What are the signs? Whew. I feel someone feels really anxious, nervous. I'm getting someone's energy. They're thinking that, okay, things are happening quick, or they don't have much time. They got to do something. They don't know what to do. They're confused. Okay, let's see. We have Libra, Cancer, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, and Virgo. Okay, so this could be placement in your chart, placement in other people's charts, past, present, and future. We have Libra, Cancer, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, Virgo. Now, let's do 11 letters to see for initials. It could be initials, first name, last name. If you get someone's initial, either with their first and last name, and they have a middle name, and you know that middle name, you get that initial also, all the better. Past, present, future, also your own initials. We have S, N, D, E, O, J, L. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that's a T, but take L too. Gotta fix that T one of these days. Z, O, A, P. Okay, so the letters we have here today are S, N, D, E, O, J, T, take an L too, Z, O, A, P. Now, let's see what we have for names. We get 11 or more names out of here. What do we have? Okay, we have Liz, Danielle, Louise, Carl with a C, Michelle, Machelle, Machelle, Kelly, Stacy with E, Gary, Gary. Then we have Dozy, Dosey, Gagan, Gagan, and Kisha, Kisha. Exactly 11. I love it. Okay, guys. Now remember, these are general readings, not personal readings. Please just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Please let me know if it resonates. Please leave a comment. I love to read your comments. It really does help my channel. I appreciate it. If it does not resonate, check out your other placements. You always check out your sun, moon, rising, and Venus signs. Okay, guys. I love you so much. I appreciate all your likes, shares, subscribes, and comments. I hope to see you all again real soon. Thank you.
Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to your love reading. This is going to be for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Venus, and Rising. This is a general love reading, so it may or may not resonate. If it doesn't, feel free to check your other placements. Happy birthday to all Capricorns, by the way. One of my Capricorn friends cussed me out today for not remembering his birthday, so let me just say that. Happy birthday if you're celebrating your birthday this month, or if you did in December as well. So let's look at you and the person that you're thinking about, and then we'll look at your overall love energy. So Capricorn and their person. What is going on with Capricorn and the person they're thinking about? Okay. Interesting. Okay. Somebody wants things to improve between you two, but they may still be acting like unemotional. Like they may come at you in this Queen of Swords type energy. I feel like I'll get more on what that's about, but a lot of you are getting over somebody. You're getting over someone. 5 of Cups in reverse. It could be this person that you're getting over. That could be why they're coming forward, wanting change with you. It always happens that way. As soon as you get over someone, if this person is good to you, that could be why they're showing up as the Queen of Swords. It's like they want to come forward, but they're also acting as if they're like unemotional, you know. It's giving off arrogant vibes, I'm not gonna lie. But you're definitely getting over this person, so it don't really matter. A lot of you don't really see a way to work it out. Yeah, you got the Emperor in reverse. So this could be a controlling person that you took your power back from. It doesn't have to be that they were like physically controlling. Controlling can also be like them purposely ignoring you, knowing that you want to hear from them. So them trying to like control your emotions, make you feel bad, make you feel low about yourself. You know, those things, that's control too. So there's a controlling energy with this person. It's like you've taken back your power, you're doing you, and they're coming back like as if their presence is needed. A lot of you are probably turning this person down. I see your near future. In your near future, you're picking, choosing, and refusing, and there's going to be a lot of people getting rejected by you. And you're giving your energy to a selective few is what I'm getting. A lot of you are like really stepping into your power. Only giving your energy to a selective few, or people who really genuinely need you, need your support, and support you too. A lot of people are getting turned down here. Like, there's an energy of, if some of you were like people pleasers or people pleasing or always like there for people, you're having to turn away from that behavior. A lot of you are seeing where it's gotten you, that people may have taken advantage of your kindness, and you're really limiting that kindness now. So could be dealing with an Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Aquarius. Well, let's look at your main spread. Oops. Okay. What is going on with Capricorn when it comes to love? What is coming up for Capricorn in their love life? Oh boy. What does Capricorn need to know right now about love? Okay. Ace of Wands, definitely your energy. Okay. Could be dealing with a Scorpio. Ooh. Queen of Swords again. So this could be the same person, but I am getting the vibe for some of you it could be a new person. But let's see. Ten of Cups in reverse, Ten of Pentacles in reverse. So there's some type of ending or relationship that ended, but there can also be you ending or cutting off relationships that don't serve you, that don't fulfill you emotionally, drain your finances, drain your energy, because you know, when people drain your energy, it does affect your money, and Capricorn, I know you're not standing for that. So you're probably like noticing when like your money takes dips. You're noticing that, you know, when you get around certain people, it starts to affect everything. So you're like, okay, getting rid of those energies. There's someone that you're seeing a future with. And I don't know if it's an ex or if it's a new person. Take it as it resonates. The only reason why I would think that it's that same person is because they're also showing up as the Queen of Swords again. And there's also the King of Wands. This is what makes me think it could be a different person, because this person is like grown, mature. And another reason why it could still be the past person is because you're seeing them as death. So you're seeing this person as making this huge change, this transformation. So I'm kind of scared to say that it could be the past person. I don't want to like encourage you to take back someone who was like controlling or trying to make you feel negative. But if they've made this miraculous change, who am I to say that it's not them? I don't know. Like, you would have to see that change for yourself. I'm just telling you what the cards are saying. But it could be a new person. If you're really holding out for a new person, if you really want it to be a new person, then just manifest it. You know, manifest a new person. You don't have to take back the ex. But the mutual energy between you and this person is the Six of Swords in reverse. The Six of Swords in reverse talks about not being able to move on or having a hard time moving on. So this could be for some of you one of those connections where you meet each other, you start triggering each other, and you separate to go and heal. It could be that you've both done the work and that you're coming back together. I mean, for me, it's just too fairy tale like. Even though I know that spiritually these things do happen, it's just that I find it too risky when you've healed to go back, just in case they haven't healed. I don't know, but they see you as a Three of Cups, so they're seeing you as not really being accepting of them. Maybe you're not gonna like take this person back right away. Maybe you're just as suspicious as I am. So what other love messages for Capricorn? Divine masculine. Have they become divine if you're dealing with a masculine? Maybe. What other messages for Capricorn? Financial windfall. I told you, you're cutting off people who affect your money. New money, increase in finances, unexpected income, job offer, pay rise, business on the up and up. Follow your heart, it leads to abundance. You see, and your heart, your spirit may be telling you, okay, these people are affecting your money. Like they have affected your energy negatively. They need to go. And it's true. Like, especially when you see an increase in your finances, when you cut certain people off, I know Capricorn, you're definitely going to be like, okay, who else needs to be cut off? Who else is affecting my money? So let's see. What else do we have for Capricorn? I'm not saying that Capricorn is money hungry, but you are an earth sign, and earth is all about stability, whether it be in finances, love, life. You're all about that stability. Past events affecting current energy. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I just got goosebumps. Like, you're starting to see what is affecting your energy, and you know that what affects your energy affects money, because money is energy, and it also affects your relationships, because when you're not in a good mood and a good spirit, it affects the people around you. Maybe the person you were dealing with also has past events affecting their energy, causing them to be not so nice to you, not treat you the right way. I feel like you're really learning, and it's not that we all don't know about energy, but you're learning more about energy. and the actual importance of the ones that you have around you, and it's going to change your life. I remember like your past 2 readings were all about the success that you're coming into, but it's like this reading is about exactly how you're coming into that success, and it's to do with energy and just cleansing and clearing things out. You know, it's not like it's just this miracle that falls into your lap. It's like this is like the roadmap to how you're gonna get there, which makes it not so hard to believe. You know how it's hard to believe in like manifestations? Like, how do I believe? Once you see the map that gets you to this, you're like, okay, so it's not just hooji bougie like miracle work. It's actual. There's a science to it. There's a way to it, and you're like, okay, let's get started. What do we have for Capricorn when it comes to love? Magnetic attraction. You're going to be attracting different people when you do shift that energy from the past people. A proposal. Someone could be asking you out. If it's not a full-on proposal, like if you're not in a relationship where that could happen tomorrow, it could be a fated meeting. It could be you meeting someone. It could also be the ex, if they've worked on themselves, like proposing to you in some kind of way. They have mystery. Cards always do this to me. I never know if it's going to be new love or if it's someone you already know. So I can't say who is who, but I can say what is what. Clarify this Queen of Swords, please. Okay. This could be a Virgo for some of you. There's more indication that that this person has released some things as well. Like they may have had things holding them back, or if this is a new person that you're meeting, you both could be in the process, even though you haven't met each other, of releasing certain people, and that's what attracts you both to each other. You may find that you have the same story or similar story, similar path. Clarify the King of Wands, please. The Two of Cups in reverse. This is about a breakup. If this is a past person and they do step into this King of Wands energy, they may want to rush towards you. I don't know if it's a thing where they've also realized something huge that may have been affecting this relationship, and they may be coming towards you to be like, okay, I have the answers now. I don't know, but something about them once being unstable. Something about them, something urgent with them, like them not having patience or not wanting to wait. Hold on. Clarify the Three of Cups in reverse, please. They feel like, okay, for some of you, they may feel like you're stuck on a past person, that you may be juggling them. Others of you, they feel like you're stuck on something they did in the past, because they see you as not wanting to reconcile because of the Six of Cups in reverse. So they're thinking you're not going to want them back because you're stuck on what they did in the past, or maybe stuck on the old version of them if they are planning to transform. We don't know that yet. But this, they feel like you may be indecisive about it, or that you have someone else. Either you have someone from the past or you have someone new. Doesn't mean that you do have someone. This is just how they see it, or what they're thinking. The Four of Cups is what's blocking this whole situation. So it could be a thing where they rejected you before and you're like, okay, there's no excuse for that. Or this could be you rejecting them. This really looks like a past person. Doesn't mean you have to take the past person back, but they are showing up as trying to come forward. It's as if you've both been healing. Three of Wands. Clarify The 3 of Wands, please. The Magician. You're giving this energy of, I mean, I understand your energy because you see how this could work. But you kind of don't want to talk to this person because you've done so much work on yourself. You've taken back your power. You do fear a repeat of the past, which you would, because that's normal. Clarify the Death card, please. Okay. You're seeing them, you both have a mixed energy of how you see each other. You see them as realizing something. There's this transformation. There's this thing where you're seeing them as finally seeing their side of things or seeing where they went wrong. But there's also the 7 of Cups in reverse. I'm getting a message for some of you that they may have heard something about you, and now they're realizing that it was a lie, that someone just showed them an illusion, maybe spread rumors about you to turn them against you. But there's also this issue, as some of you do feel like this person's still trying to trick you, that they could be a narcissist. I mean, you could be right, you could be wrong. I really don't know. Depends on your situation, because it's different for everyone. Ace of Swords. They're coming forward with the truth. They want to tell the truth about something. Clarify the 4 of Cups, please. This 4 of Cups is actually them giving you the offer, and you kind of looking at it and saying no, basically. Doesn't mean that you're going to always say no, but it's like if they were to reach out to you like today, you would be like, Clarify the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Especially for those of you who do reach a level of success before this person reaches out, you're definitely going to question if it's because you became successful. Like, what do they want? What's the agenda? Why didn't they come back sooner? Type of thing. It's going to be hard for you to trust this person. And I'm also getting some of you, this relates to more than just love for you as well, because this is about whatever is affecting your finances. This is also about you cutting out these people. This is about you realizing that you should have cut out these Knight of Swords in reverse types of people who are negative, speak negatively over you, wish bad for you and all of that, but you didn't, and so it affected your money. But remember, we're changing that now. You're gonna change that now. So this is more about, this is not just about the relationship, this is about everything that you're learning as well. What are the messages for Capricorn? Falling in love. Not for you, yeah. It could be that for some of you, you do have a new person and you feel like the ex is not for you. I really don't know who, I don't know who you're gonna end up with. I just know that there's an ex in your energy for sure. And there could be a new person in your energy coming as well. Release the past. Know your worth. So love, you're being encouraged to either release this person or release the past of what they did if they have changed and transformed. If, you know. So there's some kind of past, but there's definitely, with this past events affecting current energy, aside from the love part, you do need to release the past to increase your finances as well. not just people, but maybe things that you could be holding on to, even beliefs and stuff like that, negative and blocking beliefs about your success and stuff like that. What are the love messages for Capricorn? Work. This card just reminds me of Capricorn. Work, profession, colleague, workplace. There could be people at work that are affecting you. But I do see something with your work, like going to the next level because you removed something or some people. We got true gem, valuable, quality jewelry. So you may be able to buy more jewelry. That could also be linked to this proposal. And I just feel like you're seeing your value and your worth, especially in the workplace or whatever business you're able to do, your creativity. You're going to be seeing yourself as a true gem, realizing that the past may have caused you to not see that. We have control, releasing, taking back power, and we have freedom. Casual, being single, lightness, but this goes for everything. Like you're freeing yourself from everything. Now it's starting to sound like the last read where there was something that was holding you back. Capricorn, keep getting this message. That means it's true. Someone was holding you back. You need to release all of those things, people. Find them. Find them. What's the advice for Capricorn? Move on. There's a lot of people and things that you need to move on from. Do need to move on from past events as well. Dive in. Emphasis on the events, because it's not just people. There's also like traumatic events, you know, things, even small things that you feel may just be little, but in your mind, to your mind, it's actually big or could be a block. What's the advice for Capricorn? Let's be frank and open your eyes. This message can't get any more clear. And even this card here, diamond in the rough, you're just going to realize that you've been kind of undermining yourself for a while, or maybe people around you have been undermining you, trying to make you believe that you're smaller than you are. Like, clarify this Ace of Wands, please, for Capricorn. You see that? You see that King of... You see that King? Three of Cups in reverse. Cutting off some... Sorry, I don't know why the tiger's eye is acting crazy. Maybe it's a sign. Something to do with the tiger here. But you're seeing how people affected you. You're clearing out some emotional things too. The Queen of Cups in reverse. You're going into the subconscious. This is giving me like the negativity that's in a lot of our subconscious minds that we all need to clear out. Past events, people, abusive people, mean people, name calling, all of that. King of Wands. It's like you're learning how to go from this Queen of Cups, this person with a lot of emotional damage going on, into this King of Wands, getting things done. I'm getting for some of you, like, let's say you have habits where you wake up late, or you're always late to something, or like there's just these patterns, these slowing down patterns that slow you down. It's like some of you may do something. Let's say you like clear out one thing, and then you notice that you're just not late anymore, or you can wake up and you have more energy. That's kind of gonna make you realize how important it is to clear things out. I had seen that on one of those talks. I can't even go back to it. One of those talks that they do on like YouTube, where there's a woman who is always late or this and that, just like I explained, and it was really linked to something with her dad, like her dad leaving or something like that. Like these little patterns can be linked to things you wouldn't even guess. So a lot of you are just really diving in, being honest with yourself, and moving on from things that happened in the past, cutting off certain people who you notice affect your energy, lower your energy. And as for this love situation, I don't know who this is. I just know that there's an ex involved who may have been healing as well and wants to come forward and tell you what they found, what they've learned about themselves. So I don't know. It's a little risky to go down the X lane if they haven't worked on themselves. But if they have, there's possibility. But it could be a new person, which is what I saw when these cards came out side by side. It's like one is not for you and there's one that you are falling in love with. So really depends on your personal situation. Still Capricorn, I hope this was helpful. There is Aquarius energy here. Could be dealing with or expecting any of these signs to come into your life. Aquarius, Scorpio, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Sagittarius even stronger. Cancer, Taurus. Yeah, those are the main signs. So I hope this was helpful. Feel free to check your other placements if you want to know what else is going on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's reading is about channeling some message from your manifestation. So first of all, I just want to lay some round concepts about this reading. First of all, your manifestation is something you desire. At the same time, it desires you as well. What you want is wanting you. What you desire is that desiring you. We live in a quantum universe, and there's a reason. Okay, there is an energetic pull. There is a reason why you desire something, why you want something. You should know at the same time this thing wants you as well. That's why you feel you're attracted to something. That's why you feel you're pulled by something. Okay, and so today we're going to read your energy from point A. Imagine you're on a journey to point B. Okay, so we're gonna try to channel some message from point B and to treat and look at your manifestation as if it's a person, to see what's its message for you at point A. So maybe it's like a message from your future self when you already have everything, but I just want to focus on what's your manifestation wants to say to you, the situation, not you from future self, not your future self, the situation. Okay, also I think what's worth mentioning is finally Mars and Mercury the retrograde is ended. So that's why maybe a lot of you feel this collective energy changing, or just personally something is changing within you. You have a new burst of energy. You feel absolutely better. It's because Mercury and Mars was retrograde and now it's ended. So it has a huge impact on your mental health, or your mental condition and physical condition. Okay, so I think it's a new beginning. It's a new start right now. So let's take into today's reading. So we have 3 groups today. This is group 1, this is group 2, this is group 3. These will be your current energy. So feel it. You can just feel it and then choose by your intuition. Now I'm going to play the symbol 3 times for you to clear energy and ground yourself. Okay, so now follow your intuition. I'll see you in your group. Hello, group 1. Welcome to your reading. This will be your current energy. Let's take a look. Wow, it's a Wands. New beginnings. Just as I was mentioned, new beginnings. I feel you definitely feel the energy changing with the different transits of planets. Mars going direct, Mercury going direct. You definitely have a new sparkle, new passion. You feel very promising. You feel very optimistic, right? This is you. Maybe you're going to start something new as well. Let's pull 2 more cards. Thank you, universe, for group 1. Okay. Thank you, universe, for group 1. So this would be where you are. Wow. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Group 1. You're having a really great time. This is what I want to say. But I feel you've won a battle for something. It's like you've won a battle. Either it's with somebody else, either it's with yourself. So apply this message to your situation. It feels like you've been struggled, okay? You've been through some struggle. Either it's internal struggle, either it's external struggle, but I think you've won. You're pretty satisfied with what's here right now. You're pretty satisfied with the outcoming. And I think you are enjoying this success. And I think at the same time, it feels like a personal growth. It's not important for you to win or to lose, but I think what's more important for you at this moment is there is a sense of achievement. There is a sense of breaking limits of yourself. Okay, there is a sense of coming out of a better version of yourself, right? Personal growth, something that definitely worth celebrating. It feels like you are stepping up, okay? You're breaking out from your old shell. Yeah, something like this. It feels like breaking free from something, right? Okay, so now I'm going to pull some oracle cards. Let me see. Should I put tarot or oracle? Okay, so I'm just gonna directly channel some message from your manifestation. What does your manifestation want to say to you, group 1? Okay, I'm gonna pull all the cards and then interpret them all together. What does your manifestation wants to say to you? Okay, but I think this card wants to come out as well. What does your manifestation wants to say to you? What does your manifestation wants to say to you? Okay, so let's take a look. What do we have? We have, wow, you're not for everyone. Embrace awareness, face your true north. This is what I'm talking about. I feel you cut cords with a certain group of people or a certain people. It just feels like you cut cords with someone. You said goodbye with someone. Even maybe it's not physical goodbye. Maybe it's not cutting this person out of your life completely. But I think you draw a distance from those energy. I think you detach yourself from that. And it feels like the energetic cords are cut. With the Queen of Swords here, well, this is what I felt when I pulled this card. It feels like those people who are not supporting you, those people who are not understanding you, are out of your life. This is your growth. This is your win. This is your victory. You're not for everyone. Embrace your weirdness, face your true north. And for some of you, truly, finally, you realize who you truly are. You embraced your weirdness. You faced your true self. You stopped hiding yourself. You stopped running away from real you. Okay, there's something that doesn't go with a social norm or mainstream concepts or the system values or something like this. But I think you make peace with that. It's like, okay, you go your way, I'm on my way. So your manifestation wants to congratulate you. First of all, congratulations on your victory. Congratulations on you, on your courage, on your bravery. Okay, congratulations on you cutting those cords off. Because I think this will actually accelerate your manifestation. It feels like finally you are free. Finally you are free. Something was holding you down, but finally you're free. Maybe those people, they tried to hold you down, they tried to bring you down, but I think you made it really clear that I want nothing to do with you in the future. I want nothing to do with you. So you said goodbye to those people, and finally you are free. And I think it's face your inner demons as well. Maybe those people you manifested yourself, okay, because of your doubt, because of fear, because of you fear that nobody is going to accept you, but it's wrong, but it's not true. And I think you just realize what is true. You just realize what is real. Okay, So with this card, big congratulations from your manifestation. This is a confirmation. Your manifestation wants to tell you this is the confirmation you need that you're on the right track. Okay, so powerful reading, group 1. Star Mother, how can you mother yourself and plates? Double mission channeling and uplifting humanity. Okay. We do have a Queen of Swords here, and we have a mother figure here. So I wonder if group 1, your mother doesn't understand you, or your female friends don't understand you. But I think there is a mother figure here who is not supporting. So that's why you need to mother yourself. That's why you need to give what you didn't have to yourself, right? It's very important. It's very important for you to nurture yourself. Don't forget this, okay? Your manifestation definitely wants to tell you you can do this. You can do this with taking care of yourself. It is very important you give yourself what you wanted, always like a child, to give yourself, okay? Reparenting yourself. This is what's it talking about. And for this group, I think I just feel this strong, like, uniqueness coming from you. Okay, I think you have Pisces or Aquarius placements, Western or Vedic, it doesn't matter. You are very special. You are here to have a noble mission, okay? Which is exactly here, channeling and uplifting humanity. A lot of times you feel like an orphan. A lot of times you feel like a loner. You feel so alone, right? You feel so lonely because you're here for a mission. And not so many people have this mission. That's why you don't resonate with a lot of people. That's why sometimes you feel lonely. But you see, these are, on this picture, there are people, okay? More than one person on this picture. Which makes me feel like, even though right now you don't see you have fellow peers, friends, soul tribe with you, but they are actually with you. As long as you do what you're born to do, as long as you do what you're actually here on earth to do, your mission, you will somehow find each other. But at the same time, it's very important to take care of yourself because you have a big mission. It's like other people that just lift a 2 kilogram weight. You are you are going to lift 100 kilogram weight. Okay? So normal people they have like something to work, but you have, compared with them, you have so much to work. So that's why you have to really take care of yourself, because your mission is bigger. Your mission, your task is harder. Your mission is bigger. That's why you have to nurture yourself, right? Those people who lift 100 kilograms, they need to take care of their muscle, their body, right? Because it's harder. It's simple as that. Okay, so we have honor the process and desert passage. Trust there's divine plan. Exactly. Group 1, I feel you feel lonely. Okay, I definitely feel you. Desert passage, you'll feel scared, maybe facing with the unknown, but you should definitely know you're on the right path. Don't second doubt. Even though you're lonely, even though you feel super lonely, it doesn't mean you're not on the right track. A lot of times, this is exactly what happens when we actually are on the right track. You will find you have nobody but just yourself. Because you're brave enough to step out of that pre-designed path, because you're brave enough to create your own path. Okay? So your manifestation wants to tell you everything will be taken care of. Everything will be taken care of. We have a plan for you. What you need to do is just to make sure you are healthy, okay? You are happy. You're healthy physically and mentally and spiritually to walk this path. The way is there. You will see the direction. When you are sound, when you are grounded, when you are healthy, when you are happy, you can definitely see the way. When your vision is blurred, it's because this is the moment you need rest. Simple as that. Honor the process. Your manifestation wants to tell you at point B, you're going to be absolutely stunningly beautiful. Female or male, you will just embody an absolutely new energy that will just mind-blowing. Okay, that's so powerful, that's so divine, and right now you're in the middle of it. Right now you're in the middle of seasons, right? You're transitioning, you're transforming. So give yourself time and trust this process. You don't have to second doubt if you're on the right track or not. You just need to walk the steps. Simple as that. What's more, what does your manifestation want to tell you? So for group 1, what does their manifestation want to tell them? Wow, oh my god, look. I don't think I need to explain these cards. So you are a hermit right now. Okay, it's a solo journey, that's for sure. But you will have the Ace of Pentacles, and then you will have the 10 of Cups. Everything you ever wanted. Maybe you want to meet the one. Maybe this is what you want. So the confirmation is a big yes. You will meet the one. You have the family with your soulmate. You will build something with your soulmate. You will have the abundance. You will have everything you want, basically. It's a dream come true. I don't think your manifestation wants to tell you to work hard or to I don't feel there is a specific instruction coming out of it. I just feel your manifestation wants to tell you, think about how beautiful when I come true. Think about how you are going to be, so how happy you are going to be when you are with me. Okay? You will feel whole. You will feel complete. Just think about how happy you're going to be. Everything else doesn't matter. Okay? Everything else doesn't matter. Focus on your goal. Focus on me. Your manifestation wants to tell you, focus on me. Okay? Whenever you feel sad, whenever you feel down, whenever you feel lack of motivation, just focus on me. You need to focus. We are getting there. We are going to meet each other really soon. Okay, this is a reading group 1. Beautiful reading. Let me know what you think. If you need a person reading, you can find the information down below in the description box. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello group 2, welcome to your reading. So let's take a look at your current energy here. 7 of Swords. What are you doubting? What are you doubting? What are you not trusting? Okay. What's going on with group 2? Why is 7 of Swords? Why is your current energy 7 of Swords? Okay, something happened unexpectedly. Okay, that shocked you. Okay, so it has to do with relationships, maybe. I think for some of you, it's something like, it doesn't have to be relationship related. Something happened, just took you by surprise. You didn't expect things to go this way. It feels like a breakdown or something, like unexpected event. Something broke off. Something broke up. For some of you, you just broke up. Okay, literally broke up. But something ended abruptly. Okay, something just stopped functioning abruptly. Something went to destroy abruptly. Something like this. But I feel it's you are going through something like this within your emotional world. Maybe you just realized some true faces of people here with the Queen of Cups, especially your especially I feel it could be female energy here. It might be female friends or something to do with female here. But I feel this is good for you. Okay, maybe you see true faces of people around you. Maybe you see true faces of your sort of friends. They are fake friends, they're frenemies, or maybe it's you going through this big transformation emotionally. What's special? I think it's quite special message. I want to pull you more cards for this. I only pulled 3 cards for group 1, but for you, we need more. Why is happening like this? Why is happening like this? Okay, so bottom we have, yeah, Five of Cups. I think it has, like, you see the true faces people, you're disappointed, but you're glad that you finally see the truth. Absolutely disappointed, but it's good for you. I get this. Yeah, Justice. Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay. What I hear is it's karma. I don't mean it's bad. I don't mean it's good. It's neutral, and it's karma for everyone concerned. I feel it's karma that it's time. It's karma and it's time. It's karma that brought you together to become friends at the first place, but right now it's karma for you to say goodbye. Definitely there is something preventing you from growth, and it's karma. But the timing is now to say goodbye with all these energies that preventing you from growth. You are set free. Group 2. You're definitely set free, especially from negative limiting thinking. Limiting thinking, limiting programming, limiting mindsets, limiting minds, limiting people, okay? Limiting negative energies from people. I think you're set free from this through this unpleasant breakup, sort of. You're off to a new start without them. They will be awed of how you turn out to be, how you will transform, who you are gonna become. This is what I get from this Page of Swords. They are keeping an eye on you. They will be awed because right now I think you're still processing this. Right now you're still a little bit disappointed, but I think in the future, you will definitely shock them. I just feel because it definitely involves with other people. For you, this group is talking about how you separate from those people who you used to know. I don't know why it's so strong, this energy. But let's see. From point B, what does your manifestation wants to talk to you about? What's the message from your manifestation from point B? What does your manifestation wants to tell you? Okay. What does your manifestation wants to tell you? What does your manifestation? Okay. Yep. I just want to pull all the cards, then interpret them together. What does your manifestation want to tell group 2? What does your manifestation want to tell you? Okay, so we have Star Brothers, Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, trust, right? Transformation, a fresh new way of living emerges. Exactly. Be present. Okay. Yeah. The ever unfolding rose cracked open is happening for you, not to you. First of all, don't think why me? Why am the victim? Why I'm so unlucky? You need to get rid of this victimhood mentality, group 2. If you have, it's time to shake it off, right? Second, I think you will come to realization that it is actually happening for you, not to you. Not the universe is not personal on you. The universe is actually helping you with your path. So that's why these things happen. Maybe the way it happens is a little bit surprising, but it's good for you. Okay? You are like this rose. You're opening up. You are transforming. You are changing. That's what it takes. Because you're going to become something so different from before, from who you were. I think you're going to create some sort of new identity for yourself. Your whole life is going to change. That's why you have to go through this destruction first. With this transformation and this Tower card, I get how hard it is. It feels like a death and a rebirth. Okay, in some area of your life is totally going to change, whether it's a job, it's income, it's friends, it's connection, it's partnerships, it's your physical body, it's your wardrobe, It could be anything, but I think it's major. Okay, I think it's a major change. I think it's how you live, how you see yourself. You're creating a new identity. It's big, okay? So maybe you are a programmer before and now you want to be a singer, or vice versa. I'm just giving you this example. How you are going to take that place in this world is going to absolutely going through this transformation. Be present because it's a bit overwhelming. Okay, it's very much, it's so much going on here with you. So it's very important for you to accept all this. Okay, it's like you doing yoga, stretching. It's painful, but when you stretch, breathe in and breathe out, it's actually helping you to transform. It's actually helping you to stretch your body. It's healthy. It's good for you. Okay, you need to let go. You need to let go of that tension. That's how you release a lot of energy from your body that you don't need anymore. It's painful, but it's what's needed. Okay. And with the stepbrothers, I just feel your connections, maybe your friend circle is going through this transformation. Because those people who are not loyal is going to be cut off of your life, or maybe they were cut off from your life. But you need to realize you always have your soul tribe with you, even though they're not manifested in 3D yet, but they will, because this is a message coming from the point B, coming from your manifestation. So your manifestation wants to tell you, you will meet your soul tribe. You will finally meet again, reunite with your soul tribe. Okay, after your transformation. You will reunite with your soul tribe after your transformation. You need to trust they're always there for you. Even though it feels like a long distance relationship, or it feels like an internet love affair. That person is there. They are talking to you. They're talking with you. You haven't met yet, but it doesn't mean you're not ever going to meet each other. It means when the right time comes, you will meet each other. They are already there talking with you. They're already there exchanging energy with you. Even though you can't touch them, you can't see them, it doesn't mean they're not there. Your manifestation wants to tell you, trust. If you feel something, if you feel me, this is me sending message to you. If you feel your manifestation, okay, if you feel you want something so much, if you have visions of yourself in the future, then that vision is sending you messages. That vision is actually talking to you. It's there. It's happening. It's already came true, right? It's already a reality. It's only in the future, right? And time is non-linear. Well, this is a big subject, but anyway, it's already happening, right? You have to trust it. I think you're bridging the gap right now. You're definitely bridging the gap. It's very overwhelming. It feels like you're in this. You know what we see in the amusement park? A lot of like, you can sit inside a bubble and the bubble just turns to give you this astronaut kind of feeling, or that's equipment to train pilots. It feels like you're in this to get prepared for a crazy ride, but it's going to transform your life. Group 2. So now I'm going to use some tarot cards to channel some message from your manifestation. Message from your manifestation for you, group 2. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have 6 of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and the Hangman. Hang in there. This is very direct. Hang in there. We're coming, okay? What you want is what you get. What you put is what you get. You will have something that really, really fair coming your way. Just keep looking. Just give yourself a little bit more time. What is this Page of Swords? You know what? I think your manifestation is already sending you messages. You've already received some messages other than this reading. You've already received some intuitive messages from your manifestation. If you feel strongly you desire something, it means it already happens in the future. It already happens in a reality that wants to connect with you. Here, with the Page of Swords, if you really think about it, I feel when you are really calm, when you are really like calm, you can feel that. And I think you will receive a lot of messages from your manifestation in the recent future. Starting from this reading, that will actually help you get the way out. Yeah, I think, yeah, this is a very important message. Group 2, your manifestation is sending you help. It's sending you messages. Especially it's sending you help, like physical help, to get out of your stagnation. Pay really close attention to your intuitive downloads. Meditate. Ground yourself. Clear your mind. Balance your energy, because you are going to receive, like you will see events unfolding, you will see events happening that I think there is, let me clarify, I think there is some people or some help coming in. What does your manifestation want to tell you? Yeah, you are waiting. I think you are waiting for something like a job, like a work thing. Your manifestation is, yeah, for group 2, your manifestation wants to tell you there will be something with your work, with what you do, with your money, that it will transform your life. It feels like a contract between you and another energy here. There will be a new energy, new contract forming that will help you get out of this stagnation. But why is this devil? I think it's financial success. It's financial success. You have some fear around money. You have some fear around money. You have some misconception around money. Yeah, maybe you have this fear around financial issues. But I definitely see some contract coming in, some agreement coming in, some help coming in to shift you out of this reality. Yes, people are going to work with you. Your manifestation is telling you people are sent to you in the near future to work with you, to help you build your future, to help you shift your reality by working with them. Okay, that's our reading, group 2. I hope you like it. It's a very interesting reading. Let me know what you think. If you need a personal reading, the information is down below in the description box. I'll see you next time. Bye. Finally, hello group 3. Sorry, let me just take a sip of water. Okay, I feel good. I feel good about your reading. What is your current energy? 8 of Cups. Okay. You are doing a deep cleansing. This is what I hear. You are getting rid of a lot of things. People, connections, energies, stuff, physical stuff, material stuff, limiting beliefs. You are working out of something. You are going to somewhere. And I think you just shed a lot of old skins. Like you shed layers of old skins. I hear you throw out a lot of garbage because you want to travel light. Okay, so what is your energy? That's very interesting. Okay. So, how many am I gonna take? Okay, I'll take all. For you, yes. Let me see. Okay, you're building a solid foundation for yourself. You're creating your vision, because this is what our reading is today. But I think you're building something for this lifetime that lasts forever, because the devil is setting energy. It's permanent. For some of you, you are trying to relocate. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. You are trying to relocate. You are trying to go into another place. You are trying to immigrate. You are trying to build a home somewhere else. a home that you truly feel belong to. If it's not a home, I just feel you are laying the ground breaks for your life. Okay, I'm not talking about short term, I'm talking about 20 years, 30 years, who you truly are in this world. You are taking a place in this world. You are building yourself up to take this place in this world. You are creating a new identity. This is what I hear. Okay, so let's pull cards from your manifestation, right? What does your manifestation, point B? Point B is telegraphed to you at point A. Okay. Okay, so what we have all paths lead home. Some of you are relocating, okay? Inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Okay, you are living somewhere, especially at least your energy is living somewhere. And I think you are creating this new reality that will be manifested in another physical, geographical place that is not where you are. So it feels like a relocation, and you are starting to get hints, clarities, directions of how to do this, right? Pay attention to your intuition because it keeps sending you messages to lead you. It feels like a maze. It feels it's a long way, but actually if you follow the lead of your intuition, it's actually a direct path. Fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposite extremes of life. The reason why you are here right now is because the universe wants the universe wants you to experience what is the opposite of what you want, to make you realize what you truly want. Okay, the universe is giving you false things for you to realize, for you to choose for yourself what you truly desire, what you truly want, what's truly good for you. So this is the reason why you're not happy here, because you need this. Okay, if you don't know what is unhappiness, then how can you tell what is true happiness, right? This is the message. A surrender and trust. Okay. Yeah, it feels we have surrender twice. We have surrender, we have surrender. Don't force things. Open yourself up. You're exactly where you need to be. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You are here and now. Okay? And embrace everything. Embrace everything around you right now. The message is very particular. It feels like for group 3, you're somehow rejecting the reality, or rejecting the present. But you need to embrace. We have 2 cards talking about embrace and trust, right? It feels like you need to relax a little bit more. Your energy feels a little bit tense actually, and you need to relax a little bit more. You need to trust you're going to be okay, and you are okay. But first of all, like enjoy the present moment. This is what I hear. Even though you don't like it, but still you can enjoy it. It's weird. This message is weird, but it's true. Even though you don't like it, you can still enjoy it. I don't know. Ascending the mountain. Keep going forward. It feels like you are going somewhere. You see, this is 1, 2, 3. The 3 images basically the same. You are going somewhere. You won't be here. You won't be stuck here forever. You are actually moving. Even though it's moving really slowly, but actually you are moving. Okay? You should trust this. You are moving. What you do is working. It might not be so obvious, but it's working. Okay, group 3, this is what you need to hear. Deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be healthy. Exactly. I think you're just so tired. Okay? Give yourself a break, right? Give yourself a break because you're running a marathon. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Life is a marathon. So give yourself a break. Allow yourself to rest. Maybe the reason why you're here is because this is the perfect place for you to rest and replenish yourself. Okay? Maybe the reason why you're here is because you don't have enough battery. This is the place where you charge yourself. Okay? This is a place you charge yourself after your battery is full. You're going. Okay? You're flying. Okay? What else do you need to know? I feel for group 3, maybe you checked other groups because your message is already there. It feels like, let's see, what else? Release your fear. You're fearful of something. I don't know what you're afraid of. You're safe here, okay? You need to understand. You need to realize you are actually safe. You can relax, okay? You don't have to be guarded up all the time. It's exhausting. You're safe. Open yourself up. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to be safe. Allow yourself to take a pause and allow yourself to enjoy the current moment where you are right now. Enjoy. What's the message coming of your manifestation? Okay, so bottom we have 4 of Cups, right? 4 of Cups is a card talking about relaxation. It's pretty chill, right? Yeah, it's pretty chill. I think right now it's not a time for you to just keep pushing. Let's see the cards here. We have 2 of Swords. We have the Empress and we have Page of Wands. Choose your path. You cannot be one foot in, one foot out. I don't know who needs to hear this. Choose your path. Pick your lane. You can only walk down one path at a time. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. So pick a side. Choose your path. Make that decision. You won't go to the wrong path. This is what your manifestation wants to tell you at this particular moment. All paths lead home. For some of you, you're so afraid of making the wrong decision, but you're not going to, because all paths lead to your destination. All paths lead to where you want to go, where you want to be. You can't pick wrong paths, but you have to pick one, unless you want to be stuck forever. You need to make that decision to take that first step. Okay? You have to get started. Stop waiting. Stop waiting. Everything is correct as long as you get to move, right? What's waiting for you is this marvelous future, is this abundant future, is this new home full of abundance, full of beauty, full of comfort, okay? It's the future you want. For some of you, you want to get pregnant, you want to have a happy family, you want to have your own house, you want to have your own garden. It's all yours, okay? Your manifestation out there is telling you, you are going to have all this. You are going to build this for yourself. But you need to walk down the road and you need to decide where you need to go. Don't put too much pressure on yourself because all paths is correct. Okay? And I want to pull more cards for you. What else for group 3? What else for group 3? Yeah, Wheel of Fortune is turning for you, definitely. Okay. Yeah, just make a decision for group 3. You cannot make the wrong decision. This is what I hear. It keeps repeating itself. And also you can correct it on your way. If you feel okay, I'm on the wrong way, you can correct it any moment. But don't waste your time anymore. This is why you feel stagnant. You're waiting for too long. You're not taking any action. How can the universe help you if you're not doing anything? At least you have something out there to allow universe, to let the universe help you to correct it, to work on it. But when you have nothing, empty, how are you going to replenish it? How are you going to make it better? Okay, you have to put something out there to edit it, to work on it, to make it better, to improve, right? You can definitely correct yourself along the way. You can definitely improve along the way, but take action. Okay, this is our reading group 3. I hope you really like it. I really hope you like it. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment, like, share, subscribe. If you need a personal reading, you can find my information down below in the description box. I'll see you next time. Bye.
That they took a coastal route just because traveling over land would have been very difficult at the time.
We have a much greater understanding of the fluctuation in sea levels, so it's easier for us to locate those most ancient sites along the coast, spreading all the way down to California, and of course all the way down to places like Monteverde in South America.
Monteverde is an ancient village site located in Chile, about 50 kilometers inland from the Pacific coastline, that was occupied at least 14,800 years ago. The village was discovered in the 1970s beneath a creek and was largely preserved within the wet environment. The village consisted of 12 small huts that would have supported about 20 or 30 people. The huts were made from wood, animal hide, and woven rope. There were 2 large and several smaller hearths in the village. The people at Monteverde collected plants in the mountains, grasslands, and coastal regions of southern Chile, suggesting that they traveled widely to collect food and building materials. Along with the remains of mammoth and llama, 10 types of seaweed and the shells of crabs and clams were found at the site. The marine-based diet of those who lived at Monteverde points to a people who were well adapted to a marine lifestyle.
Over the course of many thousands of years, when you're doing things such as experimentation of new lifeways or trial and error in new food types, all of this accumulates over many generations and gives us what we call traditional knowledge.
Since first arriving in the Americas, indigenous people have hunted wild game for food, shelter, tools, and clothing. The type of tools used by these ancient hunters are often used to define their cultures. One of the most important discoveries of ancient stone tools in the Americas was made at Clovis, New Mexico in the early 20th century. The distinct way of manufacturing these spearheads led to the Clovis first theory, which suggested that the earliest people in the Americas arrived shortly after the glaciers melted and used the same tool technology.
When we look at the history of archaeology as a discipline early on, say in the early 1900s, scholars believed back then that North America had only been inhabited by indigenous people for 2,000 to 3,000 years. However, this changed, of course, with the findings of Folsom and Clovis points in association with what we call megafauna, or Ice Age giant mammals and creatures that walked the earth along with the indigenous people.
The discovery of mammoth bones alongside stone tools at the Clovis site revealed that indigenous people were hunting megafauna with spearhead technology around 13,000 years ago.
Clovis was the type site where the first stone tools were found. And so after that kind of became the umbrella term for fluted point technology.
This lethal tool was sharp enough to penetrate the thick hides of large game, such as bison and mammoth. Clovis points were made from jasper, chert, obsidian, and other brittle stones, and were eventually discovered throughout North America.
The Clovis tool complex spread across North America very rapidly. So this has always given the impression that people are moving along and occupying new lands. And there's lots of variety across North America, the geographical variations.
And for many decades, it was believed that the Clovis culture was the first and only culture to be across all of North America. However, most recently, in the last 10 to 20 years, the Clovis first model has pretty much been thrown out the window because we have ample evidence across North America, Mesoamerica, down to South America of sites that predate the Clovis time period. And this data and these sites are really interesting in pushing the boundaries of what we know about that distant time.
Think of Clovis as an idea, and that there was already a pre-existing population that was receptive to this new invention. So when the new invention came along, it was the idea of it that spread into a pre-existing population.
Although stone tools were widely used in the Americas for thousands of years, tools made from animal bones were also used for hunting and fishing.
Before people had Clovis coins, they actually used bone technology. And the bone tools were just as lethal as the stone tools. Now there's starting to be a whole series of sites that have been discovered. And one of the discoveries was actually made very early on at the Manus Hill site in Washington State. There was a bone tool that was embedded in the vertebrae of a mastodon. And it was actually made from another mastodon's bone. From that, he could get a radiocarbon date off the element of the tools, but he could also get a radiocarbon date off the kill that it was embedded in.
The remains found at the Manus Kill site date back 13,800 years, a full millennium before the glaciers melted enough to open up the ice-free corridor to the north.
A hunter likely took down a mammoth once in his life and talked about it for the rest of his life.
As the glaciers receded and the lands opened up, allowing migration across North America, hunting techniques changed based on the terrain and their prey.
There's certainly a long history of hunting as a way of life, going right back to the Ice Age when humans first appeared on the scene. And of course, as people moved into the farther north regions, they started coming across animals like such as reindeer and caribou, and these are herding animals, so they started hunting them communally. Clovis tools were very lethal, and whatever they hit would have been injured. But of course, you'd have to be very close to that animal. You bring them into natural traps, and then once they're into the natural traps, and then you can use your stabbing spears to kill them.
Stones and animal bones were the first materials used by humans to craft tools for hunting. Some of the earliest tools to be discovered date back more than 2 million years. "20,000 years ago, nomadic hunter-gatherers lived in the Kabara cave region in Israel. They developed the Kabaran tool technology using flint to make spear points and arrowheads. The Solutrean tool industry emerged in Western Europe around 19,000 years ago. The people of this region made tools by knapping tiny flakes off the flint core. Hunters also used heat to make the flaking more precise. One of the earliest stone tool technologies in North America was the Clovis point, named after the site in New Mexico where the spear points were first discovered. The people who created these tools hunted a wide range of megafauna, including mammoths. Throughout the world, the different styles of tools that people developed determined the type and size of the game they hunted.
As our ancestors settled throughout the two continents, creating hundreds of nations, languages evolved and diversified. And through these languages came stronger social and cultural identities. The Western Hemisphere is the most linguistically diverse region in the world. It's estimated that there were as many as 2,000 distinct languages spoken in the Americas in 1491. Each of these languages are part of a language family, connected through common words, grammar, and diction. Languages are more than a means of communication. For ancient societies, they contain the cultural, historical, and traditional knowledge of a nation. Many of the languages spoken before 1491 are still in use today.
Chimuruna kang mikanki, ancha rexista. Ichaka, suyacha yukuirach chikanda.
Quechua in South America. Mayan in Mesoamerica.
Nabile yanukasku ale icho. Temen kacha chupan.
Koshalik bitano petikandati vesh.
Pueblo in North America.
Yote ataften ushatewa ekjaya oman hamo. Awi kama yuan an.
Awan dohun atud zamaba.
And Inuktitut in the Arctic.
Sibulingaw na na pickup. Umayon niyo gamik. Kanuin niyang ito ilay.
Mesoamerican cultures like the Maya and Aztec had a complex writing system. But most indigenous languages were based on an oral tradition.
Language doesn't leave marks on the land. Language isn't a thing that we can point to in the world. It's something that is done by people, and especially without writing, all you have are people as your evidence. In North America, there's a very complex tapestry of different language families that have crossed over each other. And there's probably about 30 families in North America. There's probably another 30 or so families in Central America, and maybe even 100 families in South America. The original work on comparative linguistics was reconstructing languages that had long written histories like English, and the Romance languages like French and Italian. So it was early on believed, you simply couldn't do that in a language that didn't have a written history. The early anthropologist linguists in North America proved that yes, you could reconstruct these languages, and often could show materially that language here was actually a close relative of a language that was quite far apart from it, separated by a number of others. They applied these methods that had been developed in Europe and proved that they could be used for unwritten languages, and that opened the door for people to work on Native American languages and figure out where did they come from, which is always the question that presses a lot of people when they study us. They also found sometimes that the indigenous people themselves would tell you, oh, well, our language is actually related to those guys over there. I mean, you can ask and you find out, well, yes, we share a whole bunch of words in common. And you go talk to them, you can tell. And although they can't really communicate in each person's language, they still find quite a large number of words that are similar.
Indigenous languages carry deep cultural and traditional knowledge, but tracing their histories is a challenge to linguistic researchers.
Even though we have reconstructions, internally reconstructed and externally reconstructed language families, we can show that they're related, but we can't go back any further. And that's because, unlike biology, language doesn't have a constant rate of change. It changes in fits and starts with long periods of little change, sudden dramatic reconstructions of how the language works. It's not something that we can predict with any reliability. We can show that a language is internally related, but we can't tell you how long the connections are. And we rely almost entirely on archaeology to give us some sort of calibration to our guesstimates.
Oral entomology is both fluid and fragile, and of the thousands of indigenous languages that existed in the Americas in 1491, hundreds have been lost forever.
The exact question of when all these languages came here, as far as linguistics can tell, they've just been here.
Nekne ona da gehaga ya de horia dara. Ayokwa haga nkoni ne sori nunde wane aga.
Archaeological sites in every part of the world tell the story of ancient peoples and the cultures and civilizations they created over thousands of years. Erech is one of the first major cities in the world that featured monumental stone buildings. It was built at the center of a vast trade network in the Middle East. "5,000 years ago, Egypt was divided into upper and lower regions. A pharaoh named Narmer created a unified kingdom, and there are sites throughout Egypt that represent the artistic achievements from this era. Cahokia was the largest urban center in North America 1,000 years ago. It was part of an elaborate intertribal trade network that connected people as far away as the Gulf of Mexico and the Great Lakes. The archaeological record in every part of the world continues to inform us of the accomplishments and ways of life of our ancestors.
Indigenous people settled in every region of the Western Hemisphere, from the high Arctic to the Caribbean islands to the southern tip of South America. Historians estimate that by 1491, the population of the Americas may have been as high as 100 million people. Population growth in societies worldwide can be traced to the advent of agriculture. As people began to grow annual crops, the need to travel to find food lessened. Villages grew into towns, and towns into cities, with the farmers providing a steady supply of food. The impact over thousands of years was a significant growth of population in the Americas.
Throughout the Americas, civilizations rose and fell like an oscillating frontier through time. Some of them had great periods of development, innovation. Their technologies were among the most incredible. Their populations were significant, and then they collapsed. Archaeologically, we're looking at a palimpsest. In other words, we're looking at layers and pieces and fragments. It's like looking at a wall of graffiti and seeing one layer on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. And when an archaeologist digs, he may be digging through 10 different layers, or she may be recovering the relics of maybe 10 civilizations.
An example of a significant population surge was the Aztec city-state of Tenochtitlan. Founded in 1325 on a man-made island where present-day Mexico City now stands, it was the capital of the Aztec Empire. The city had a complex social strata that included the working class, military members, priests, and the elite. It was a vibrant city with a bustling marketplace. At its peak, Tenochtitlan was home to more than 250,000 people and was the center of an empire with a population of between 2 and 3 million. In 1491, Tenochtitlan was the largest city in the Americas.
The question then is, what about North America? The Mississippian side of Cahokia was a center that maintained significant populations into the tens of thousands.
Cahokia was arguably the largest and most influential urban center in North America before 1491. At its peak, around 800 years ago, Cahokia had a population of 40,000 or more. The city's strategic location, where the Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois rivers meet, made it a natural gateway for intertribal trade. But over time, like the major cities in Mesoamerica, Cahokia also disappeared.
We have factors like drought, we have warfare, we have invasion and conquest. All of these things factor into the variable landscape of demography and population in the Americas.
Indigenous archaeologists are much more adept at thinking about the who of the past and the why of the past rather than just the what of the material culture. It's not just a piece of pottery that happened here without humans being involved in either transportation, in breaking it, in moving it from one place to another. I think that's what drives a lot of good archaeologists, is recognizing that we're not in it for the artifacts, we're in it for the stories that the artifacts can tell us. One of the most important things about being an indigenous person involved in archaeology is knowing the importance of story, the importance of the individual, and knowing how these all fit within who we are today. There are so many tribal people involved in trying to relate the history of individual tribes, individual places. In the past, it has been perceived to be the role of the expert to tell what the history is, history of place, and it's often has been based on someone else's stories, some written reports or such. Now it's extremely important that indigenous groups have the authenticity, the authority, and the right to present the history as they know it. There are so many indigenous people who are getting advanced degrees, who are getting recognized as authority. And so now they're able to take that and tell the stories that their communities want them to tell, so that people outside of the community can really understand what has gone before.
The sequencing of the human genome has led to many significant discoveries about the migration and ways of life of ancient peoples throughout the world. Ancient Egyptians believed that the soul remained with the human body after a person died. Egyptian rulers and their families were buried in tombs with gold, tools, food, and animals to help them on their journey to the afterlife. The Kabza cave in Israel is the site of the earliest known human burial. The remains of several adults and children were found, including a boy buried with a deer antler placed across his chest. At the bottom of a cenote in eastern Mexico, archaeologists found the remains of a young woman who died more than 13,000 years ago. Her DNA is a close match to many indigenous people living in Central and North America today. For tens of thousands of years, people in every part of the world have been carrying out rituals and ceremonies as part of their burial practices.
While there were tens of millions living in the Americas in 1491, the population soon after people arrived would only have been in the thousands. It's not surprising that the discovery of an ancestor from this period is an extremely rare event. 13,000 years ago, a teenage girl in the Yucatan fell into a deep hole and died. Over the millennia, sea levels rose and water filled the cave. In the 1990s, a group of underwater archaeologists found Naya, as they named her, in 40 meters of water deep in a cenote near Tulum. Testing Naya's DNA confirmed that she is a direct ancestor of the indigenous people living in North and Central America today. When the human genome was sequenced early in the 21st century, it opened the door for geneticists to study the biological blueprint of human beings. The data collected from studying the DNA found in human cells can be used to trace a person's ancestry. By comparing the DNA of modern indigenous people with that of ancient people, we can see how our ancestors migrated and settled down during the past several thousand years.
It's using your DNA to look at similarities between different populations. So there are many different ways we can do it. We can look at your maternal lineage, we can look at your paternal lineage, or we can look at everything, which is the whole genome. And in that instance, we're sort of looking at the entirety of your father's contribution, your mother's, and all of your ancestors. This is just another way to think about our past and figure out how we were related to each other. We are all really connected, and our genetics is telling us that too. to have a really rigorous study, you want to have ancient samples, because with the ancient samples, you can date it back really accurately. How long ago did they live, and what did they eat, and also where were they? If we're looking at ancient DNA, we're only looking at the people that they actually were able to extract DNA from. These are only 50 people, but there were thousands of people at that time. And there are very few samples that have been included from the United States and also from Canada. The majority of them have been from South America and Central America.
What does DNA from the ancient ancestors we've discovered tell us about our origins?
Actually, the closest relations to natives in the Americas is from sort of Central Asia. So we know that we migrated in, but a lot of people have questions about, was it just one big migration? Did it happen at multiple times? Did we actually migrate and stay in one spot, or did we just spread all over the Americas? And how many migrations occurred? DNA can only tell us so much. We need to know actually when these occurred, where they occurred. So if a group split off from another group, just by looking at DNA, we can sort of make a guess, but we won't actually know where it occurred or when it occurred unless we have archaeological data.
The study of DNA from ancient peoples requires a culturally sensitive approach and ongoing consultation with indigenous communities. While archaeology and genetics may seem at odds with our indigenous origin stories, they all contribute to the overall history of our peoples.
Going back to my creation story that I grew up with, it was a journey, because I think a lot of creation stories are journeys, and that's how I sort of reconcile it with the genetics. We're talking about population migration. Our ancestors, they went on this huge, long journey for thousands of years, and I'm a product of that. So not only did they have to journey across continents and oceans, but they also had to fight disease. And once European contact came, so many of our people died, our ancestors, but we here as living people are actually the products of all of that, that long journey.
When Christopher Columbus first encountered indigenous people in our traditional territory more than 500 years ago, he mistakenly called us Los Indios. He thought he found a new route to India, but he'd actually arrived in a world unlike anywhere else on Earth. A world that was home to thousands of distinct nations and millions of people. Today, we keep our history alive through our stories and traditional knowledge, and we stay connected to our ancestors through the material culture they left behind before 1491. We've been taught that the Western Hemisphere before 1491 was a sparsely populated wilderness, virtually untouched by humans. But this pristine world was nothing more than a myth. In reality, there were millions of indigenous people living throughout the Americas, and the majority lived in large cities and towns. To provide for these large urban centers, innovative techniques were invented to modify and manipulate the environment. Our ancestors used fire to clear the land. They constructed canals that turned deserts into productive farmland. They built terraces on steep mountainsides to grow crops. And in Amazonia, they manufactured a soil so fertile, it transformed an entire ecosystem. These impressive modifications to the environment were driven not only by the needs of a growing population, but by an ancient respect and connection to the land and water.
Like a lot of indigenous metaphors, convey whole bodies of thought and philosophy and understanding. And this is many times not captured in an anthropological record or a archaeological record or historical record, because this is really the thoughts that guide the people. We have relationships to water, which is the most basic elemental relationship, because water is life, in all cultures, in all traditions. And so we have a lot of metaphors that reflect and that represent and that symbolize water in all of its various stages, from water sitting in a lake or a pond, or moving in a stream or a river, to water that is cycling in clouds and coming down as rain and snow. And so all of those forms of water are sacred in the context of indigenous thinking.
Covering an area as large as the continental United States, Amazonia holds 10% of the world's plants, birds, animals, and insects. It also had an indigenous population that numbered in the millions in 1491.
So that idea that the Amazon is a tropical, pristine rainforest is probably very recent. Rainforests grow up on the top of places that used to be settled before. If you could go back 1,000 years ago, we would see a different landscape than we see today.
About 2% of the land lies within the floodplain of the Amazon River and its many branches. And the soil here is fertile.
The Amazon comes from the Andes, brings lots of nutrients with its waters, and then it floods every year. It brings nutrients to the floodplains. So these soils are very rich.
But the majority of the soil in Amazonia is too acidic for extensive agricultural use.
Normally, Amazon soils are not very rich, they're very acidic. The pH is not very good. Tropical soil, very fast will lose its fertility because of rain, leaching.
In the places where the land was less fertile, indigenous people engineered a soil called terra preta, or dark earth. Made from broken pottery, plant waste, fish bones, and charcoal, terra preta has been found in village sites that date back 7,000 years, about the time that pottery was first produced in the Amazon.
In Guyana, they go back to 5,000 years, even more. In southern Amazon, they go back to 7,000 years. What's interesting, though, is the terra preta, if the idea that they're used for farming, for improving the conditions, natural conditions of the soils, were valid.
Kara wona teja nuwa mokaraning umuwo temmat.
Traditional knowledge of farming, plant cultivation, and soil management is passed down from generation to generation among indigenous people.
Tawaratu. Te akumi mogar. Man, Jum, Japushik, Kapura Taraweshite, Akumi, Munkaro, Yaitasha, why, Utieri Tete, aha, Via.
Terra preta has been found throughout the upland areas of Amazonia, often far away from rivers. Developing a way to make these soils fertile and productive for agroforestry was a matter of survival. But the abundance of terra preta soils next to village sites that were already in fertile areas has raised many questions about its origins.
It's interesting because we're finding also terra preta soils in areas which are very fertile.
Muchachi, Ehur, Mokara. Ajurete, Ayukuyaki, Yanjen, Amonkaro. Akumi, we, Mokaro, Atum.
The essential ingredient in terra preta is charcoal. The people who made this soil used a slash and char method to create the charcoal. This causes less carbon emissions and produces a more stable product than slash and burn.
Wakai, 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 Wakai. Turuwashi, Akumi, Mokara. Now, Hati pe kurmi jurare. Werika num. We amia. Awakai. Bei mei. Adi jei pe pila ketaru. Eumaku. Ain we puchuma. Harata pe we chikuka. Unaka. We araka. Pum. Akuburu. Kapura kano. Kashima papa.
And these diapreta soils are very productive. They're really, really rich and productive soils. They allow one to cultivate in the same spot for many years. Some of these orchards or this, managed forests, there was no need for farming. Those are very highly productive environments. That entails a different relationship with people and their surrounding landscape.
Villages were often situated in rings, and while the center of such a ring would be barren, on the outskirts of each village were middens where food waste was deposited. The people who developed and used this rich soil were not farmers in the traditional sense, but horticulturalists. They simultaneously cultivated domesticated and wild vegetables, fruit, grains, and trees. The terra preta soil found in these villages may not have been intentionally manufactured in the same way as the upland sites. It may simply be the result of thousands of years of man-made organic waste.
One would expect to find those soils away from the settlement areas. But what we do find is that in most cases, the soils are in the very same place where people used to live. In order to live well in the Amazon, one has to really be aware of the wealth of information, and it takes really very sophisticated societies.
The ancient Amazonians discovered a way to sustain a growing population despite having acidic soils in much of their territories. The ability to engineer the soil to meet the needs of the people is one of the most significant environmental achievements of our ancestors. Throughout North America, indigenous people depended on access to hunting grounds, as well as distant communities for trade.
It's quite clear that people used to travel very, very long distances. It seems incredibly difficult, but people knew how to travel back then.
Communities were often hundreds of kilometers apart, with forests, mountains, and prairies in between. Finding consistent and predictable routes of travel year-round was a necessity. The answer was a natural highway system embedded in the surrounding environment. Whether flowing in summer or frozen solid in winter, the rivers of North America were a dependable transportation route for indigenous people.
The Dene people could travel thousands of kilometers on frozen rivers because they had such highly developed snowshoe technology. Traditional Dene snowshoes are still better than commercial snowshoes in many ways. They're designed for your feet. They're designed to deal with the exigencies of the climate in your region. You pick particular wood and sinew for them. They're sewn in different ways so that they adapt to different snow conditions, and you might carry more than one pair for different kinds of snow. And then, of course, in the summer, traveling thousands of kilometers along many of our huge rivers, the Mississippi, the Yukon, the Mackenzie. These rivers are enormously long, and you can travel on them quite easily throughout most of the year.
The preferred vessel for transportation along North American waterways and coastlines was the canoe.
The canoe was always essential because we were marine-based people. The rivers and the oceans were our highways. So we needed the canoe. So we became very skilled canoe makers.
To adapt to the stormy weather and strong currents of the Pacific Ocean, the peoples of Northwest North America carved heavier canoes from cedar.
We know how the waters are here in the Northwest coast. You could lose yourself out there.
While some coastal vessels were smaller and more suited for shoreline fishing, others were ocean-going canoes carved from massive logs that required exceptional craftsmanship to build.
They had various types of canoes depending on what duty it served or what purpose it served. So you would have canoes for traveling to potlatches, canoes for gathering foods and medicines and plants, canoes for warring, canoes for whaling, canoes for fishing. And so you had various types of canoes that were carved for a specific purpose. So variations to that canoe existed.
Inland water travel required a different style of boat. Using the same basic vessel, the canoes of indigenous people living inland were smaller and lighter to accommodate long stretches of river or lake travel. These canoes were typically constructed from the barks of trees. Sturdy enough to withstand river rapids, birch bark canoes were also light enough to portage or carry long distances between waterways.
People thought nothing of packing up with anything that they could carry and then going off for 6 months or a year to go travel, to go visit distant relatives or just to go explore. There's absolutely no question that people would get around all over all the time.
Man-made earthworks created an artificial topography throughout North America before 1491. These mound structures were built over thousands of years. One of the largest concentrations is located on the Mississippi River near present-day St. Louis. The ancient city of Cahokia had 120 mounds, with the largest known as Monk's Mound. This massive earthwork covered 5.5 hectares and was 30 meters high. To construct this mound, thousands of workers carried more than 1 million square meters of earth in woven bags to the site.
For my own tribe, we have a story about a mound site in Mississippi called Naniwaya, and we came up from below. We came up out of that mound, according to one story, or we followed two brothers, Chata and Chicsa, from the west. We traveled east, and finally stopped at a place and built that mound, and we carried the bones of our ancestors with us and built the mound. Either story, it talks about this one place that's very significant in Choctaw tradition, and it places us in Mississippi. So it tells us how we came to be in that area. And the stories tell us about our relationship with other tribes, the Chickasaw and the Cherokee, among others. The science actually fits in well with that if you think about people moving from the west into the east. And if you think about mound sites in the southeast, that frequently function as burial mounds. So there are mounds that have human remains in them.
Mounds are also part of the creation stories of indigenous peoples. A large concentration of ceremonial mounds are located throughout Central and Eastern North America. As family groups formed societies and settled into villages and cities, the practice of burial mounds expanded.
We can follow the evolution, if you will, of mound construction from 300 AD on up. We get small mounds, we get a little bit larger, we get mortuary mounds, we get mounds that have houses on top. So we can see an in situ development.
Around 2,000 years ago, the mound building tradition intensified throughout the region and resulted in ceremonial centers along rivers and lakes. The mounds were spiritual gathering places where people would travel to make offerings and bury their family members and leaders.
So we can recognize that at one point in time, there was a large group of people that probably all spoke the same language, all agreed to serve under whatever political structure was in place. And then after a time of stress, probably during the little ice age in 1300s, people started realizing that they could no longer exist within one large area, that they had to pull apart again. But we also get some indications of influence from the south. The first pottery that occurs in North America is in Florida, and then it disappears. And then it comes again from in the southwest, and it moves across. But I think one of the important things is for North American tribal people to recognize that our cultures did develop in place, And whether we had some influence or not, these are North American cultures. And that we don't have to rely on someone coming from somewhere else to help us move forward.
Cultures throughout the world constructed earthen mounds for religious and ceremonial purposes. People would travel long distances to bury and honor their dead at these sites. The Kurgan people, who originated in the Black Sea region, buried their dead in deep shafts topped by mounds. The name Kurgan in Latvian means mound builder. Kofan are distinctive keyhole-shaped structures that were used as burial tombs in Japan. They range from several to 400 meters long. Thousands of burial mounds still exist throughout the Great Lakes region from the Hopewell era. Sacred objects and personal belongings were part of the burial ritual. In every part of the world, mounds and other man-made structures were used to honor the places where ancestors were buried.
The steep mountainsides, high altitude, and cool climate of the Andes would seem a most inhospitable environment for humans to thrive, let alone agriculture.
In looking at the American hemisphere, we are looking at a region that is highly mountainous, very fractured, part of what we call the neovolcanic axis.
These regions of Bolivia and Peru have been home to successive indigenous societies over thousands of years. And the vertical topography didn't stop them from developing one of the most productive farming regions in the world. In places like Lake Titicaca and Sacred Valley of Peru, people began to sculpt the landscape into a series of stepped flat plateaus to make the mountainsides more accessible for agriculture.
The same tendency occurred throughout the Americas, but perhaps the best known such terraces are those of groups like the Inca.
They have terraces from the formative times, that is probably 1,000 years before Christ.
By the time the Inca civilization came into existence 600 years ago, terraces already covered more than 1 million hectares of mountainous land in the Andean mountains. As the terraces became larger and more structured, laborers built them with expertly cut stone, sand, gravel, and soil.
In some cases, you have the leveling of an area, the soils are pushed away, and then agaves and other plants are planted along the boundary. And then through the course of time, these become formal masonry structures.
Akata capamu Shakti.
Hari,
Mantai Chaira Munyach.
hari, mama ini cayaram.
Alim Jet.
Those systems were among the most sophisticated, I would contend, given that not only were these terraces often cut from stone that was easily fitted, and entire hillsides were terraced, but in order to prepare the terrace, soils were basically cleared, the area was cut, and then gravel was placed in the basins of these terraced walls.
The terrace's stone walls and multi-layered soil were designed to prevent the leaching of nutrients from the soil, retain heat during the cold mountain nights, and provide a natural gravity-fed watering system.
This formed a kind of like a carbon filtration system in which clays and other soils and then rich soils for agriculture were placed over that, and the entire terrace packed such that it could sustain crop year after year.
We know that they are cultivating potatoes, and in some islands of the Titicaca Lake, they grown up corn. Also, they have quinoa.
Because of the nature of the clay soils in the region, Peru, for instance, those soils were almost impervious to erosion. So this allowed those terraces to be maintained through the course of centuries. And even today, many of the terraces built as much as 1,000 years ago are still in use.
By literally moving mountains, the Andean people of South America manipulated their environment to create one of the world's greatest engineering achievements.
For thousands of years, farmers have been sculpting mountains and hillsides to create usable land to grow crops. Rice, potatoes, and yams are some of the grains and vegetables that are grown on terraced farmland. In Southeast Asia, farmers grew rice on terraces that were otherwise unusable hillsides. They used a system of ditches and canals to move rainwater between platforms. Pond fields were constructed on hillsides in Polynesia 1,000 years ago. They were designed to produce larger yields of yams and taro for a growing population. Indigenous farmers first built terraces in the hilly terrain around Lake Titicaca more than 2,000 years ago. By the time the Inca farmers were working the land 600 years ago, there were 20,000 square kilometers of terraces in the Andean mountains. Terraces offered farmers larger amounts of arable land, which in turn provided food to support the growing populations in nearby urban centers.
During the long winter months, the Arctic region becomes an endless expanse of snow and ice. Further south in central North America, the prairie summer landscape is a never-ending sea of grass. With few naturally occurring landmarks to guide travelers and hunters, both environments can be daunting and even dangerous places to travel through. Ancient peoples have erected stone markers on the landscape for thousands of years. In North America, two of the most prominent stone structures are the EqG in the Arctic and subarctic, and the medicine wheel on the Central Plains.
A lot of the EqGs that we have been there for hundreds, maybe thousands of years.
The Inuktitut word, EqG, means one that looks like a person. From Alaska to Greenland, these anthropomorphic stone structures have been built for more than 2,000 years. EqGs have many purposes, including keeping track of seal caught during hunting expeditions.
If you catch a seal sometime in the summer, it sinks. And if you want to retrieve that seal and you don't have anything to retrieve it with, you go ashore and you put up a couple of EqGs to point to exactly where the seal went down, so you can get back in that water and line up, and you'll find your seal. And that's, so we made little ones just to point where, where our seal had gone down or some animal had gone down.
Another purpose for an Inukshuk is to serve as a guiding landmark on the landscape.
You grow up living there, you know, and all these Inukshuks are everywhere. You get to recognize them, you know. They help you navigate out on the land. In 1973, we went on a canoe trip down the Ferguson River, and it's about 160 miles long. And at one point, we were completely lost. You know, we had 2 canoes and 4 people, and we're paddling around this huge lake that had twice as many islands as there were supposed to be. And by the end of the day, we had gone nowhere, you know, still looking for the way out. And so late in the evening, we decided we'd stop and, you know, spend the night and look for the way out the next day. So we saw an Inukshuk way off in the distance, and I said, let's go camp there. And so we paddled around all these islands, got up to the Inukshuk and put up our camp. And before I turned in, I said, you know, I'm going to go up there to the Inukshuk and take a look around. And so I climbed up and got, you know, stood beside the Inukshuk, and there was the river that we had been looking for all day. After that, every time we got lost, we would just find an Inukshuk on the horizon, and we would paddle there, and it led the way all the way out. And that's the way we navigated the Ferguson River.
The Inukshuk is one of the most enduring symbols in the Arctic of ancient Inuit life. Found in various locations across the central plains of North America are low-lying man-made stone circles known as medicine wheels.
Medicine wheels are enigmatic. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are effigies of turtles or other animals. Some of them are effigies of humans. But what they all have in common is some relationship to the landscape.
Medicine wheels had many possible purposes, such as ceremonial gathering places or as a place of cosmological alignment. Medicine wheels may also have had more practical uses.
There has been some attempt to try and find calendrical devices, that astronomical alignments from them. Myself, I'm skeptical of that area. In fact, I think the better explanation is that they are geographical markers. Wherever we find medicine wheels, they are usually on a very prominent butte, so you have a good view of the surrounding landscape. But there are also areas where major rivers are easiest to cross. You know, like the Majorville Medicine Wheel is located right near Blackfoot Crossing, which is the best place to cross the Bow River. And when people don't have bridges and when they have to wade through the water, this is crucial knowledge. I think in actual fact that these what we call medicine wheels are not so much calendrical devices as they are mnemonic devices for the cognitive geography on the plains.
One of the oldest stone structures in central North America is located in Blackfoot Nation territory in southern Alberta. At the center of the Majorville Medicine Wheel is a 9-meter central cairn connected by 28 stone spokes to an outer ring.
People didn't just build this at one time. It was a slow accretion of the central cairn, and then also creating the outer rings and sometimes the spokes that join the cairn and the outer ring.
Besides being a significant geographical marker on the landscape, Indigenous people traveled to Majorville for ceremonies and gatherings.
Majorville Medicine Wheel, at the very bottom of the cairn, that the artifacts came from a time that is closer to 5,000 years ago. And they discovered a lot of artifacts like projectile points. But they also found other things like phalanges or finger bones of people. Yeah, and again, that was a very common thing where people would, if somebody is grieving, they would cut off a tip of a finger and then leave that at the medicine wheel. Recently, the University of Calgary wanted to repatriate those artifacts back to the Blackfoot community. But Blackfoot people say, no, we don't want those, because when somebody left an artifact at the medicine wheel, they were leaving their troubles with that artifact. So if you come along and you take that artifact today, all you're doing is taking somebody else's troubles with you. They have ceremonial functions in that people go there to leave their troubles and make offerings, but they also serve as geographical markers when people are traveling across the prairies.
As one of the oldest continually used ceremonial sites in the Americas, Majorville suggests that the Plains cultures were strongly rooted to a traditional homeland and continued to maintain their sacred gathering place for thousands of years. The ancestral Pueblo people have lived in southwest North America for more than 10,000 years. To survive in this semi-arid region with its seasonally high temperatures, it was crucial to find a way to control the rivers to irrigate land for farming and to provide a year-round supply of water for cooking and drinking.
Given the requirements of living in this kind of landscape, this kind of environment, the essential foundation for developing communities in this area, because it is a desert, was your access to water.
Known for their multiple-story, multi-family adobe apartment complexes, the ancestral Pueblo were also master engineers when it came to manipulating and controlling the region's limited sources of water. Beginning about 1400 years ago, the agriculturally based peoples in the Phoenix Valley designed and built an advanced irrigation system of canals and reservoirs known as the Hohokam Canal. The main sources of water for the canals were rivers that originate in nearby mountain ranges.
And the Salt River were the ones that delivered the water or brought the water. And it was through these irrigation canals that they were able to, of course, farm.
The largest canal measured about 6 meters in depth and more than 20 meters wide. The longest canal was 32 kilometers long. The Hohokam Canal system irrigated more than 40,000 hectares of farmland.
A great deal of physical effort and a great deal of planning, cooperation, and everybody had a common goal, and that was to achieve that agricultural way of life.
The Hohokam Canal really represents an application of the communal mind in both the construction of the canals and also the conceptualization of the canals. The essential way you survive it was through the community and through participation in community work. It was a realization on the part of the community as a whole that these structures were necessary, again, to reach towards that goal of a good life through the production of food in ways that allowed for the people to grow, the communities to grow.
The Hohokam Canal system that flowed from the Salt and Gila rivers transformed the desert landscape and supported a prosperous agriculturally based society. It was as much an engineering achievement as it was a life-giving source of year-round water. Although a long drought likely forced the people in the Phoenix Valley to move, the footprint of this elaborate water system is still visible today. The Hohokam were one of many indigenous peoples in the Americas who developed sophisticated irrigation systems. In northern Peru, rivers flowing from the Andean mountains brought water to the semi-arid Norte Chico Valley, where tens of thousands of people lived in cities between 4,000 and 5,500 years ago. Irrigation canals carried water to fields where cotton and food crops were grown. In Mesoamerica, the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan was built on a man-made island in Lake Texcoco. An intricate system of dikes, canals, and reservoirs were built. This supplied the hundreds of thousands of people in the city with fresh water for drinking, bathing, gardening, and fish farms.
A few thousand years after humans started domesticating wild vegetables and grains, they began to devise ways to manage and divert water to irrigate fields and orchards. Irrigation and water control systems were common throughout the Indian subcontinent for thousands of years. In Sri Lanka, a massive artificial lake called Parakrama Samudra built 1600 years ago, is still in use today. One of the oldest irrigation systems in the world was built 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Rainwater and runoff from the mountains was caught and held in dams, then diverted to irrigate farmland. The Phoenix Valley was transformed from a desert into a highly productive agricultural region through the building of an 800-kilometer-long canal system that irrigated over 40,000 hectares of land. Canals, artificial lakes, and dams built thousands of years ago form the ancient footprint of irrigation systems still in use throughout the world today.
Throughout the Americas, indigenous peoples extensively altered and manipulated the environment, sometimes changing entire ecosystems in the process.
What we see in eastern woodlands is intensive modification of the landscape over thousands of years. Archaeological research has currently shown that the development of agriculture in that region occurred a lot earlier than previously believed. We are, as archaeologists, as researchers, just coming to realize and acknowledge how the land was shaped and formed. And we tend to call this anthropomorphic shaping of the landscape.
6,000 years ago, we do find the occurrence of stone tools that have been polished and shaped and have an edge. And we believe that they were used to chop down trees to clear the land.
The earliest plant cultivation in the eastern woodlands of North America began about 4,000 years ago. Among the earliest crops were sunflowers, goosefoot, and squash. Later, maize, beans, and nuts were grown widely in eastern North America.
People in the Southeast ate fairly similar types of things. And then you move across and people live differently because they're different cultures, different tribes, different communities.
After the introduction of maize about 1,000 years ago, eastern North America was transformed into a patchwork of agricultural fields and orchards. This intensive production of crops was the result of a new organizational structure for farming and better tools made from antler, bone, and stone. Throughout the eastern region, farmers cultivated a variety of nuts, including pecans, acorns, walnuts, and chestnuts. Forests were even designed and modified to attract animals for hunting.
Eventually, they would plant the crops, they would create gardens. The gardens actually brought in animals that they could use for food. And so as they started creating these gardens, they did cut down the trees. They would open expanses up. They also used the trees for building. They built homes. They also used them for fires in the houses, for heating, for cooking. So they would open up landscapes.
It was a new balance of nature and farming, completely manufactured by indigenous peoples.
As people in many parts of the world began leaving behind a hunter-gatherer lifestyle in favor of farming, it became necessary to clear land. This led to the development of cultivated farmland in areas that were once forests and wild grasslands. Around 10,000 years ago in the Middle East, people progressed from harvesting wild grains and hunting to cultivating wheat and barley and domesticating livestock. This change to a farming lifestyle ensured a supply of food throughout the year and led to the establishment of permanent villages. Broom corn and foxtail millet were first domesticated in northern China 6,000 years ago. In southern and central China, one of the first domesticated crops was rice. Indigenous people in eastern North America have been cultivating plants and grains for thousands of years. To grow 3 of the most important crops, maize, beans, and squash, they cleared vast areas of forests using fires and tools. As hunter-gatherers started domesticating animals and growing annual crops, farming villages appeared. Permanent settlements required an ever-increasing agricultural land base, and this led to larger urban centers.
As communities in North America became larger and more centralized, the need for stable food sources increased. This led to man-made changes to the landscape to open up land for agricultural and hunting purposes. An expedient way to manage the landscape was to carry out controlled burns.
Fire is like indispensable, and I really, like, I think this goes right back to when our ancient ancestors first discovered fire and how useful it was.
In several parts of North America, indigenous people used fire, one, to clear land, to create agricultural plots, and of course, burning of that landscape enhanced the soil for a certain amount of time. On the west side of the continent, people literally burnt parts of the forest. And what this did was encourage other kinds of plants to grow, notably berries, which could also be mass harvested to support large populations.
On the Central Plains, grasslands were cleared with fire to encourage new plant growth in the spring. This in turn attracted large herd animals like buffalo. Fire was also used to drive buffalo to certain hunting locations.
When Blackfoot people were preparing a buffalo jump, they knew in advance where they were going to hold their buffalo jump. So they would send somebody there in the fall time to burn the grass in the gathering basin. And by burning the grass, you put the seeds back into the ground, but also you give a little bit of fertilizer with the ash. So in the springtime, that's where the grass is going to be greenest first. And so that's going to attract grazing animals like bison. A buffalo jump didn't just happen. It was very purposeful. You know, people created the conditions that would ensure success.
Controlled burns generated higher yields for farmers and hunters and brought about significant changes to the natural ecosystem. Indigenous peoples before 1491 impacted the natural environment through agriculture, earthworks, urban development, water management, controlled burning, and deforestation. These were innovations that were driven by the need to provide food, clothing, and shelter for a constantly growing population in the Americas. All of these adaptations created an artificial landscape and had a profound effect on the climate, soil, water, and wildlife in the Americas. Today, we have a powerful tradition of land stewardship that evolved from these ancient technologies. Throughout history, people in every part of the world hunted, fished, and gathered wild plants for survival. Over time, these foods became a central part of the cultural identity of each nation. In the Americas, our ancestors harvested fish, seals, and whales, and hunted mammoth, bison, and other animals. And we adapted more species of wild grasses, vegetables, and fruit than anywhere else on Earth. But no single food has had a greater influence on the history of our ancestors than maize. For thousands of years, maize has permeated every aspect of Maya culture, from the practical to the spiritual. Not only is maize the foundation of their creation stories, it is the heart and soul of the Maya civilization. In Maya oral and written history, the gods created the first humans from cornmeal after attempts to make people out of mud and wood failed.
Betico, Mako, Le Makobo, to Beto Yetelum, which I hope Lume, Catubeto, Luke. Vale, Tilobe.
Nabile Yanuka Kuali, Ijo, the name Kacha Chupan.
Scorsely, Vitano Betica Natives.
The maize god was referred to as the first father, and the maize goddess is associated with fertility, the moon, and new corn. Maize appears in the most sacred of Maya ceremonies and in the simplest acts of everyday life. Maize has nourished and inspired the Maya people for close to 4,000 years.
It really is a very integral part of people's lives, everyday life, from, again, providing them with nutrition, but also spiritually it's really important. I mean, this is what has shaped people's lives, the history of people, culture. Not only does it include, our beliefs about creation, for example, it has allowed people to survive to this day.
The Maya people didn't actually develop the maize plant. That honor goes to the indigenous farmers in the Balsas Valley in Mexico, who initiated one of the world's earliest forms of agriculture by cultivating a wild grass known as teosinte, which became the maize we know today. After each growing season, farmers selected the plants with the most desirable attributes and planted their kernels.
In looking at the evolution of maize, we have a history here, beginning with teosinte, that extends back some 8,000 years.
Maize could well be the first act of genetic engineering in human history. Between 6,000 and 7,000 years ago, maize had traveled to the Andean and Amazonian regions of South America.
We begin to find maize moving over these ancient routes early on, so we know that foodstuffs were critical.
Maize was also easy to transport and store, which the Maya used to their advantage.
Considering the importance of corn for people's diet, I'm sure it was a valuable commodity, valuable food to trade.
How do you get those products when you yourself don't grow maize? You trade beads, you trade shell, you trade obsidian, and you get the product.
As the Mayan population grew, so did the need to generate food on an industrial scale. One method used by the Mayans to mass produce maize was known as slash and burn.
So that would mean that, you live in an area, you cut down the forest, you grow corn, and then after a while, that soil might not be able to provide for you anymore. So you move on to another place and you cut it down and do the same thing.
Other agricultural methods were adopted as well, including stepped terrace farming along hillsides and raised farm beds in marshes.
They would take weeds or plants growing in the water, they would mound them as a source of nutrients.
Crop diversification was also essential to the health of both the people and the land itself, and maize was grown alongside chili peppers, squash, and beans.
Corn it requires a lot of nutrients, and so beans is actually a plant that provides nitrogen into the soil. So the beans help the corn to grow. You obviously need to have these crops grow together so they provide for each other or help one another to grow better.
By using a variety of methods for growing maize, the Maya developed intricate agricultural infrastructures in Mesoamerica. As maize spread throughout the Americas, it contributed to the development and growth of the Inca, Aztec, ancestral Pueblo, and many other indigenous civilizations.
Tanutale champal.
Ina! It's okay, darling. Walk na siya. Kaya tumehen siya pala sa kuyantal. Kaya tulamehen itnes.
As Mesoamerican civilizations rose and fell over the millennia, there is one thing that remained constant: the central role that maize held in the diet, traditions, and mythology of the people. Today, maize is one of the world's most widely grown crops. Its development remains one of the most impressive acts of agricultural achievement.
10,000 years ago, people in 3 different regions in the world were domesticating wild vegetables and grains. Rice in China, wheat in the Middle East, and maize in central Mexico were 3 founding crops. Rice was first cultivated in China and grown on terraced hillsides. In classical Chinese languages, the word for agriculture is the same as the word for rice. Wheat was first cultivated in Mesopotamia and is thought to be the first grain to be domesticated by humans. 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians made the first bread by adding yeast to wheat flour. Maize was first cultivated in Mexico and within 8,000 years had spread to every part of South America and much of North America. Maize can be ground into a flour, the cobs burned as a fuel, and the husks woven into mats and baskets. Today, rice, wheat, and maize are 3 of the most widely grown crops in the world.
The potato is to the Andean region of South America what maize is to Mesoamerica. A stable source of food and essential to the cultural identity of the people. Unlike corn, the potato grows at high altitudes and can be left in the ground for a year or more. The potato was first cultivated between 8 and 10,000 years ago near Lake Titicaca, which straddles the borders of Peru and Bolivia. Over time, indigenous farmers created more than 5,000 varieties of potato, each with its own unique flavor and color.
From the Andean point of view, color is also important for these people, because each kind of potato have a social role. The planting of everything in the Andes have a powerful ritual. Is very entangled with the many things that they are doing all the time. The communities, the real communities in the Andean highlands, they don't get the distinction between the ritual, political, or economic things. For these people, is almost the same.
The planting of the potato each season was accompanied by prayers performed by priests. Farmers carried out a planting ritual that involved the men breaking the ground and the women planting the potatoes. The potato is especially adaptable to the climates of the Andes, as it grows well in the cooler, higher mountain ecosystem. Using the agricultural process of terrace farming, the Andean people sculpted the sides of mountains to create flat sections of land to grow potatoes and other crops. Like maize, potatoes were hardy and easy to transport. But unlike maize, which traveled from Mesoamerica to South America soon after its development, The potato did not arrive in Mexico until about 500 years ago. From there, it was traded with other indigenous communities and eventually made its way to the northwest coast of North America and as far north as Alaska.
Cultures in Mexico along the western coast of Mexico all had potatoes in some way or another. It's only when you get into the United States region that potatoes start to completely disappear, and yet they reappear up in Washington and in Oregon, simply called Xinget Kunze or Tlingit potatoes. They're our old potatoes. They're the ones that everybody used to have before we got these big ones. A potato research lab in Wisconsin sequenced the genes of the Kasan potato and the Tlingit Maria's potato, and they found that the nearest relatives of them were the Ozette potato that was known from the Maha area in Ozette on the outer coast of Olympic Peninsula in Washington. Then the next nearest relatives are in Mexico.
It remains a mystery as to how long potatoes have been grown along the northwest coast of North America.
The earliest explorers said explicitly that they saw people with gardens in the northern northwest coast. It could have been the very earliest Spanish ships that introduced this, but it's hard to see because the Spanish didn't spend very much time up in Tlingit country. They came, they named things, they stopped, said hello in Yakutat, and then left. I'm of the opinion that these are probably pre-European.
If potatoes that originated in Mexico reached the west coast of North America before the arrival of European seafarers, how did they make the journey to Alaska?
If we know that a couple of young Tlingit men could paddle all the way down from Wrangell in southeast Alaska to Fort Vancouver on the Columbia River, there's no reason that people wouldn't have traveled as far south as California to pick up potatoes and bring them north. And what's more extraordinary is that in the intervening centuries, we've maintained the exact same potato line, and I have it growing back at home.
Maize and potatoes were integral to the ancient economies of the Americas and are still vital components of the world's food supply today.
Drying and storing plants and vegetables offered ancient peoples a year-round food supply and valuable trade products. Coffee is one of the world's most popular beverages, but its ancient history remains a mystery. It originally grew wild in Ethiopia, and about 500 years ago, coffee beans were being exported to northern Africa and Europe. Tea traces its origins to medicinal use by the emperors of China. It eventually became a popular beverage throughout Asia and the world. Potatoes were first cultivated in raised gardens in the high altitudes in Peru and Bolivia. Inca farmers developed a dried potato product called chimu that could be stored for more than a year. Tea, coffee, and potatoes were an important part of ancient diets and economies, and they still are today.
The population in Amazonia before 1491 numbered in the millions. People lived in small coastal villages as well as large cities along the tributaries of the Amazon River. The wild plants and small game that were harvested from the rainforest could not sustain this growing population. Indigenous people needed to find a way to produce high-yield plants.
Plant domestication is as old here as it is in places like China or Mesopotamia. But these people here in the New World, they were like they're domesticated with squash, very early, chili peppers, and then maize, corn. And we know there are many Amazonian plants, like cacao, for instance, that was domesticated in the Amazon.
For thousands of years, people living in the Amazon River basin have practiced a form of agriculture that led to the development of dozens of varieties of vegetables and fruits. Unlike potatoes and maize, this type of plant cultivation didn't involve the intensive clearing of traditional style farming. Instead, they practiced agroforestry, which is the mixing of wild and cultivated fruits, vegetables, and nuts in a forested environment.
These people, they're eating a lot of corn, for instance, but they're also eating palms and Brazil nuts. Technically, they're wild plants. They're not domesticated. But I mean, they didn't become farmers. They were generalist hunter-gatherers that had domesticated plants in their backyards for thousands of years.
Unlike the farming practices in Mesoamerica and the Andes, agroforestry required less intensive labor to prepare the land and harvest the crops.
So traditionally, how would an archaeology look at this? That archaeology would say, well, these people, they were incipient farmers. Traditionally, how scientists would look at that, oh, these guys are backwards. They're not farmers. They haven't achieved. Like they haven't climbed to another step or another layer in cultural evolution. That's a false premise. If you look at the evidence today, we see that, these were stable lifestyles.
Agroforestry was as innovative and productive as farming methods used elsewhere in the Americas. Each type of environment demanded different approaches to agriculture.
Normally, places where farming became more important in the beginning, there were places where there was scarcity of resources. Places like Caral, for instance, it's a small river valley surrounded by desert, very dry desert, and the mountains. Whereas if you look at places where resources were abundant, like the Amazon or the Northwest coast, there was no pressure for these people to become farmers. And that idea that farming necessarily is a change for the better is a modern idea that's been applied from Western Europe. But in areas which are covered by tropical rainforests, I think we're dealing with different strategies. The Amazonian record really help us to rethink things that we take for granted. In the Amazon, we see this context of abundance, so much protein in the waters, in the rivers, but also like loss of plant diversities. Better strategies work based on diversification. If you look at the biological data, it's one of the most biologically diversified places in the world. So it's only natural that people who are living there were aware of that.
Fruits, vegetables, and grains such as squash, beans, and quinoa, cultivated in South America thousands of years ago, are now widely distributed throughout the world.
You can look at the forest as a library. There's so much information there. And to be able to classify, understand, and actually find a way to use all those resources, it's a very sophisticated knowledge.
A constant source of abundance, the Amazon remains one of the most biologically diverse places in the world.
Among the first tree crops to be cultivated by humans were apples in Asia, olives in the Middle East, and peach palms in South America. The wild ancestors of olives grew throughout Mesopotamia. They later spread to the Mediterranean region and northern Africa, where they were domesticated and grown for cooking in lamp oil, fruit, and wood. The domestication of wild apples first took place in the mountains of Kazakhstan. Farmers planted apple trees in orchards and over time cultivated new varieties of the fruit. Peach palm trees are a wild plant that developed into an important cultivated tree in Amazonia. The tree eventually spread throughout South America, the Caribbean, and Mesoamerica through human intervention. Today, apples, olives, and peach palms are an important source of food throughout the world.
Thousands of kilometers north of the Amazon is another major rainforest, the Pacific Northwest. Like the Amazon, the vegetation and waterways provide such a diversity of flora and fauna that indigenous people had little need to engage in large-scale farming. One of the few exceptions is camas. The nutritious bulb of this purple-flowered plant was a significant part of the Coast Salish diet. While it grows wild, it became an important food source and trade item through long-term cultivation.
The women who had the role and responsibility to manage these food systems, they knew all the different things that needed to be done, the burning that had to take place in the fall, and managing the areas where the camases can be harvested, all the different other plants that needed to be taken care of throughout the year and harvested as well.
The process of cultivation used by Coast Salish women to grow camas was a hybrid between farming techniques seen in Mesoamerica and the Andes and agroforestry found in the Amazon.
It's not running lines and dropping seeds in a row. It's harvesting the camas when they're in seed and turning the soil, selecting the bulbs you're going to take, putting them back, the ones you're not going to take. You're dropping the seed just before you're putting the final bits of soil back down.
They maintain their plots through regular clearing and controlled burns. Camas was cooked for 24 hours or more to break down the bulb's crystalline fibers into a digestible sugar. Once cooked, camas was mixed with berries, flattened, and dried into a fruit leather. It was cooked with other foods or dried and ground into a flour.
I would say, if anything, it might be close to a parsnip, but have a consistency of a sweet potato. They wouldn't be here if the women didn't manage these food systems in a way that sustained the community.
Like the maize of Mesoamerica and the potatoes of the Andes, camas holds practical, spiritual, and cultural significance for the Coast Salish peoples.
I know when me and my family go out, we harvest camas and we do pit cooks. It's a whole different kind of conversation that takes part. We're talking in a different way that you normally wouldn't be at your dinner table. We're connecting to the land, we're connecting to the food. And all of these memories come up of what we've been taught about our history. We start talking about the history of the area we're harvesting. We're talking about the food. We're talking about the stories that come within our ancestral lands and within the food system as well. And I imagine when I'm there, how it must have been for our ancestors to have that kind of conversation and to connect to the food and remind everyone that we're still a part of this food system.
In addition to their agricultural achievements, indigenous people throughout the Americas developed innovative ways to fish and hunt. The Arctic region of North America has been home to a succession of indigenous cultures over the past 5,000 years. They found ways to survive the harsh winter climate without the advantage of wood, stone, or clay to build houses. The primary source of food for the Thule, Dorset, Inuit, and other northern peoples was the sea.
Inuit all across the north survived mainly because of one animal, and that animal is the seal. We would travel mostly out on the sea ice, hunting seals all winter because that's what we lived on, seals. The traditional way was to use a harpoon because, the seals are very wary, but apparently they don't see very well, when they're out of the water, and they have to come up, because, they have to breathe, and they come up and they have these holes. They sun themselves really close to their holes, so they can just dive down when we or polar bears come.
A successful seal hunt depended on patience, skill, and cunning.
In the spring, when all the snow was gone from the ice, we would have to crawl basically on the sea ice, pretending to be a seal, until we got close enough to go and harpoon it. We had all these implements that we used to detect when they were coming up to see when the water was going up, up and down when the seal swam under or came up, and took a breath. We used dogs to sniff them out, and then we would use a harpoon to catch a seal. We study the animals that we hunt so that we can outsmart them. But we're also very grateful to them for supplying us with, what we eat.
In a region where people lived off the land for months at a time, hunters used every part of the animal.
Every part of the seal was used. We ate the meat, of course, and then we used skins, mostly for what we call kamik, which are sealskin boots. And they're warm, they're waterproof, and they're very comfortable to wear. We used the fat to burn in our kudlaks, which are like a half-moon shaped lamps, to cook with and to heat our igloos with. And the fat from the seal was pounded to, release all the oil, and that's what we burned. We eat seal, we eat whale, we eat caribou. We not only hunt them, but we also thank them for supplying us with all this food and our survival.
Weighing more than 30 tons and measuring 15 meters, the largest animal in the sea would be a formidable challenge for any fisherman. For the Makah and Nuchanoth nations in the northwest region of North America, the hunting of whales was more than an exercise in man's superiority over animals. It was a way of life.
Whales are central to our identities as Nuchanoth and Makah peoples. In our oral traditions, we say we were whalers from the day we were created. With the archaeological evidence in both Nuchanoth and Makah territory demonstrate a connection to whaling for over 5,000 years. That's from the whale bones they've collected, from the whale in the middens, showing that it was a major food product. The whale bones were used as part of the equipment and tools that we utilized.
The whaling culture permeated every part of these nations' lifestyles, from trade to ceremony to art.
You grow up knowing that you come from whaling, from Tikin, from the thunderbird, who gave Ichtut, the whale, to us with the Iklik, with the sea serpent. And you see it everywhere. I mean, it's in our songs, it's in our dances, it's in our artwork. That's how we keep that whaling culture alive. In the springtime, when our foods were being depleted, that's when we would hunt the whales in the early spring when they were going up through their migration pattern up to Alaska. Whales contributed to over 70% of the food in our diet, especially in our early spring, because whale meat, oil, and fat had major nutritional benefits.
Within the Nuchanoth and Makah nations was a distinct hierarchy that dictated the role of each person in the whale hunt.
The chiefs were the people who whaled, so the chiefs were the ones who basically had the rights to the whale products, to the whale meat, oil, and fat. The oil itself was a very highly prized trade item. It was traded up and down the coast and to some interior communities as well. The Tayi Hawif, which is the highest chief, would ultimately oversee the distribution. He and his family would keep the choice pieces of the whale. And the Chakwasi, which is the dorsal fin, which is where the spirit of the whale lives. They would have prayers conducted for 4 days after that to show the respect of that spirit. And when that spirit left, the Chakwasi, the dorsal fin, would stay with that chief. The rest of the whale would be distributed according to status in that community. So to the next chief in line and the next chief, or it would be distributed in this larger potlatch to invited guests from other communities.
But for the Nuchanoth and Makah peoples, the whale hunt represented far more than a source of food.
A lot of people don't understand this when they look at whaling, especially in the idea of what it meant to kill something, the killing of a whale, because they miss and they misconstrue that spiritual, emotional, psychological connection that we have to whales. We wouldn't put whales on our walls if we didn't revere them, if we didn't respect them, if they weren't central to who we were, if it was just a matter of killing something for food. It went beyond that. And how you understand that is by looking at the prayers, the certain rituals that were conducted, not just by the whaler, by the entire whaling crew, but especially the whaler's wife. Many people say, and it's passed down through the oral record as well as anthropological research conducted on whaling, the whaler's wife, the hakum, which is a woman of high status in our language, she had a special and intimate connection to the whale that was being sought. And it was believed that if that whale came to the boat and gave itself, which is ultimately what we believe, that we're not killing the whale, that spirit of the whale is giving itself to those whalers, to that whaling chief. It's giving itself to her. So she has some of the most important rituals to observe, and especially when the whaling crew leaves, she cannot move because it believes that her spirit is connecting to the whaling spirit. So if she moves, she could make that whaling spirit unruly. She could cause the whale to leave. She could cause the whale to hurt the whaling crew. So she lays very still in her home, in her longhouse, while the crew is out seeking the whale. And even after they catch the whale will calm if it is connected to her spirit. The whaler's wife, even though she is not out on the water, she is ultimately the most important and central figure in that whale hunt because that whale is connecting to her.
One of the largest land mammals to be hunted by our ancestors was the buffalo, also known as the American bison. In the central region of North America, the buffalo has been an important source of meat, hide, and fat for indigenous people for more than 10,000 years.
Right from the end of the Ice Age, people were already hunting bison, but they were extinct. They were hunting the extinct forms of bison.
At 3 meters tall and 1,000 kilograms each, these extinct bison would have towered over a hunter.
Very early on, we see that people were already focusing a lot of their energies on this one species.
Thousands of years before the introduction of the modern horse to the Americas, the buffalo would have been an imposing target for even the hardiest of hunters on foot.
Right after the Ice Age, the way that communal hunting worked was you'd have a small group of hunters, for example, maybe six or seven hunters, and they'd ambush a small herd of bison, like perhaps a dozen. They did herd in small herds, but the large, massive herds that we hear about in the historic period became more gregarious as they grew smaller in size.
About 2,000 years ago, bison hunting on the plains went through a dramatic transformation. Instead of small hunting parties going after a few bison, there were suddenly hundreds of people working together to chase herds of bison over cliffs or into natural or man-made traps. This form of hunting required large numbers of people to hunt, process the meat and hides, and transport it all back to the settlements.
They would get as much as they could in as fast as they can. And then, of course, the carcasses will start to be less good for human consumption, but they're still good for animals such as plains grizzlies or wolves or coyotes. Even things such as turkey vultures and California condors would have a big feast at the buffalo jump after the people have taken their share and gone away. Rather than being a waste of buffalo, it's a part of the food chain on the prairies. Besant Valley in south-central Saskatchewan was where the first site was discovered, and it looked like they lured a herd of bison into a corral and then butchered them in there.
But the buffalo jump wasn't the only significant discovery made at the Besant Valley site.
They also had created a structure that was in architectural form, very similar to what we would later on recognize as a Sundance Lodge. So this idea of the Sundance and the invention of the buffalo jump come together at the same time almost. In fact, earlier archaeologists on the plains noted this connection and speculated that people congregated for the ritual and that the buffalo jump was a byproduct of that. Other people would say that the buffalo jump brought people together and the ritual context was a byproduct of that.
There is another theory about the sudden increase in large-scale buffalo hunting. Several large cities on the Mississippi River, including Cahokia, were important centers of continental trade. Indigenous people traveled thousands of kilometers from every part of North America to trade goods in these cities.
The market for buffalo meat had expanded, and so it was an economic solution was to import more buffalo meat from the plains, which meant that the people on the plains could harvest a whole herd of bison, take as much as they can for their own consumption, but also enough for a surplus that they could trade. And so this led to a cycle of dependence between those two communities.
Fish and seafood have always been a part of the human diet. People in different parts of the world invented tools and fishing techniques to improve the success of the harvest. The Egyptians invented a variety of copper and bronze fishing hooks that they used to harvest fish in the Nile River and its tributaries. In southern France, harpoons were carved out of deer antlers and used to capture fish and seals in rivers and seas. One of the oldest fishing weirs in the world was discovered under 120 meters of water near Haida Gwaii. The stone weir confirms that people lived along the coastline of North America before the end of the last ice age. Fishing tools developed thousands of years ago are still in use in many parts of the world today.
Rivers, lakes, and oceans have always been an important source of food for indigenous peoples throughout the Americas. The discovery of an underwater stone fishing weir in Haida Gwaii and a village site near Bella Bella dating back more than 14,000 years reinforces claims that our ancestors lived along the Pacific West Coast long before there was an interior route into the Americas after the Ice Age ended. Since that time, the waterways have provided protein in the form of fish, shellfish, and a variety of sea mammals. The Fraser River in Canada is the largest single salmon run in the world, with millions of fish making their way from the Pacific Ocean up the Fraser's many tributaries to spawn each year. There was an understanding that the migrating fish would be shared by the many nations living along the ocean and interior rivers and lakes.
The Sanish people were often called the saltwater people because much of our traditional territory was marine environment. Salmon are still one of the most important foods. The salmon that we did catch, because we caught them in the marine environment, were much better quality than when they reached the river. Our salmon was prized, and we would often travel to the river to trade with those people for the things that we needed. So there was a traditional economy there as well.
Salmon is not only an important food and trade item, it's also part of the mythology, art, and culture of the region's many nations. Indigenous peoples in the Northwest had both personal and community ceremonies to honor the salmon that they harvested for food.
When the first sockeye was caught, it was the first salmon ceremony. It was the children who greeted the salmon at the shore and brought the salmon back to the community. In our thinking, the children were very pure, so the most appropriate people to bring the salmon back. And they would carry the salmon back to the community, but carrying it like a baby, I've been told. And we've started to bring that ceremony back as well over the last number of years.
While the tradition was different for each nation, in each case, the salmon was honored for returning to spawn and feeding the people for another year. Of the many species of salmon found in the waterways off the northwest coast, one has stood out from the rest.
The most important salmon in traditional times and even today was the sockeye salmon. We don't have any sockeye spawning rivers in our territory, but the sockeye travel through our territory on the way to the Fraser to spawn. So we needed fishing technology that would be capable of catching those salmon in the marine environment.
Methods used by indigenous peoples to harvest salmon from the ocean and rivers included nets, traps, weirs, hooks, and harpoons. Some speared fish from platforms they built over the river. Others made conical fish traps, three-pronged spears, and dip nets made from willow and alder.
One example of that is the development of the reef net technology for the Strait Salish people. These reef nets were traditionally capable of catching, thousands of fish, and I think the capability was there to catch them all if we wanted to. But the idea of conservation was already part of that system. We would actually, in traditional times, would weave in a ring of willow in the bunt end of the reef net to allow some of the salmon to escape. Not because it was just an act of conservation, but it was also because of a belief and a worldview that the salmon that were our relatives and that the salmon traveling together were family lineages. Salmon had two names. They had a common name and they also had a prayer name. And those prayer names referred to those salmon as they were using kinship terms, praying and speaking to the salmon as if they're relatives. So if we allow some of the salmon to escape, then those families will continue to perpetuate themselves into the future, and that they would be able to come back to us year after year. While our practices might have looked primitive, that was only because we used everything that was found in our natural environments. But I think the key thing behind it was also the worldview and the belief system that upheld all of those traditional technologies, and that's what really made it sustainable.
Over thousands of years, the first peoples of the Americas developed techniques to hunt migrating animals and to fish from abundant oceans and waterways. Innovations in agriculture in the Americas through the domestication of wild plants was a turning point for our ancestors. We cleared forests and terraced mountainsides to grow crops. We built towns and cities near farmlands. And like the animals we hunted, the plants we cultivated influenced our traditions and beliefs. But the greatest impact of agricultural and hunting innovation was not realized until 1491, when the indigenous population in the Americas was in the tens of millions. This was a feat that could only have been achieved by a people who had mastered the art and science related to fishing, hunting, and plant cultivation. The architectural styles of our ancestors reflected the diverse natural environments of the Americas and the social and cultural needs of each nation. Ice houses in the Arctic, adobe apartment buildings in the Southwest, and hide teepees on the plains are unique designs that have endured for thousands of years. Our architectural accomplishments are not limited to houses. Throughout the Americas, large cities featured temples, central plazas, markets, and ball courts. Over the millennia, indigenous architecture adapted to changes in the environment, innovations in technology, and a growing population. Indigenous people have lived in southwestern North America for more than 12,000 years. Early Pueblo people lived in underground pit houses constructed from wood and mud. With the natural insulation of the earth, these houses were cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Around 2,000 years ago, the ancestral Pueblo began to cultivate maize, beans, and squash. Farming led to a more settled way of life, and eventually to the growth of villages and towns.
Here in the Southwest, this tradition, if you will, of communal building was very well developed. So that community sense, that community spirit, certainly was the essential way you survived. It was through the community and through participation in community work.
Chụp trên đây chim tôi hoa nụ cha mày chú con voi họ phim mẹ giờ tôi nó chụp à mau mà chú họ phải ở ở cái đó với nó mau
mà nông khi tới nay khi thứ mà ai khi mất ta mà tối nay khi mất thứ phải nào mà sao nên năm khi nó bị tối tối khi nó thứ phải nào mà
mình bù sẽ nào mình bù là khi nó bị Asian fireman bo
Architecture changed dramatically as the Pueblo people began to construct rectangular, attached family houses above ground. 1,200 years ago, multi-storied apartment buildings began appearing across the Southwest. These adobe structures were built under rock overhangs and on mesas, and were home to hundreds and even thousands of people. Pueblo cities like those at Mesa Verde in Colorado and Chaco Canyon in New Mexico were among the largest ancient cities in North America.
You see the height of the building of the apartment structures, especially really beginning during the times, I think, of the large cities in Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon. Those are definitely structures that required an understanding of geometry, an understanding of practical engineering skills, figuring things out in terms of, load-bearing walls, how you can actually place one structure on top of another structure without it caving in. Those are technical feats which have some central architects, that are guiding the way the structure should be built. But the knowledge of how to do that is actually held collectively because everyone participated, you see, in building these structures. The individual is like one strand of a much larger web of relationship.
Yuhi kukana hakutamana and piana mayo yamai.
mà piano po na sơn mà
Wikama.
anh tao mà anh mà pian pi wai về hu itung sa thơ ki khana thơ pa aki
Patuba really who?
iati piana khana kha
Yati piana and kana and domina be my we took wanga kina delta wanta. At anam Panama kay amaho. Smoya.
And so that community sense, that community spirit, certainly was responsible for what will be today called magnificent feats of architecture and planning.
For about 400 years, these large urban centers thrived. But change was in store for the people living in these cities.
We know that there was climate change, that affected and impacted the people. Issues like a major drought in the 1200s that catalyzed a lot of movement of communities out of those large structures. Again, water being the central factor here in the Southwest. You have to move to where the water sources are.
A 50-year drought in the Southwest that started about 900 years ago inevitably led to crop failures. The people of Mesa Verde and the Chaco Canyon faced famine, lack of water, and most likely social upheaval. They had no alternative but to abandon their cities and search for new places to live. Some people moved south and established new towns along rivers like the Rio Grande. Others joined smaller Pueblo communities in different parts of the Southwest. With new people moving into these towns, the demand for housing increased. Migration out of the major cities did not mean that Pueblo society disappeared. It simply changed.
Pueblo communities today are really coalitions of large family lineages that have come together, to form that Pueblo, and that goes all the way back to ancestral times, in the sense that it's really the extended family, which then forms into what is called a clan, and then the clans come together to, almost through a confederation, create a particular Pueblo.
Yung tatin usa sa wa HCI man homo. Awi kamo. You want on?
Awan toho na tedzama pa.
Yung tahiti no tu sai wa kai usa sana. Doi pel kai tu pahu. It oi ko yo inoi iwam. Doi sa inoi iwa.
The people who built Chaco Canyon and Mesa Verde were the same people that you see today among the Pueblo people. This was not a dispossession of one group of people over another. Realizing that it was time to set afoot on a new journey.
Hello, I aquí, man. Yeah, man. Wanted I meet I know pull man. Oh, what the good which am I? Oh man, Kui kina yatum. Cô nó yatum. Do nó vui cô nó come mà. Thì you nó chữ nó hay mà mò.
People were able to come together in a variety of different kinds of communal ways to do community work. The physical building of community was an integral part of indigenous life.
Multi-story apartment buildings and towering pyramids were not the only architectural accomplishments of indigenous peoples. About 1,000 years ago, a vast road system connected millions of people in South America. Originally constructed by the Wari society, this ancient highway was expanded by the Inca.
It is the roads of the ancient Peruvians, of those who came before the Inca, who began building road segments that extended, the ability for communities to send troops, trade, engage in ritual and ceremonial activities. All along the Andes, you had these systems that the Inca built upon. One of the things about the Inca Empire, and it truly was an empire, they extended these throughout the span of the Andes.
The Inca designed their highway system to connect the people living in the 4 regions of their empire. The 40,000-kilometer Great Inca Road connected hundreds of cities and villages through a wide range of ecosystems and terrains.
These roads extend all the way from Ecuador, all the way down into Argentina. Their empire extended in length some 2,000 miles from north to south.
The Inca Road was essential for the transportation of goods and information, as well as the movement of armies.
What the Inca had devised was a system whereby they could supply armies or communities from a distance. In order to maintain their over 24,000 miles of roads, they used pre-existing road systems, and then they taxed people to maintain their portion of the road system. This grew in tandem with conquest and population growth. Everybody was involved in the maintenance and construction of these road systems.
The engineers who designed the Inca Road were faced with a range of natural obstacles, including steep mountains, rivers, deserts, and wide gorges.
We are looking at a region that is highly mountainous, very fractured, part of what we call the neovolcanic axis. How then do you connect road segments when you have, chasms and gorges? Well, they built suspension bridges, and these two are marvels for their day. These ultimately became the models for the kinds of suspension bridges we hear used today in modern society. They were able to span entire gorges, build durable rope bridges, sometimes extending all the way to the top of mountains in the region, some 16,000 feet in elevation. They could run a road right through the desert with shifting sands. And they did this by virtue of building low walls on each side that allowed for those to bank away the sand and allow the road to remain clear. This is a massive system.
Besides being an impressive feat of engineering, the Great Inca Road served the political, social, and economic needs of the Inca rulers. This vast highway system was instrumental in creating one of the largest empires in the world before 1491.
In every part of the ancient world, the efficient movement of people, food, and trade goods from one place to another was crucial to survival. Some road systems were impressive engineering feats that covered vast distances. Built over more than 2,000 years, the Great Wall of China was designed to prevent foreign invasion and protect lucrative trade routes. This 22,000-kilometer-long wall also served as a major transportation route through ancient Asia. During the 700-year reign of the Roman Republic and Empire, more than 80,000 kilometers of stone-paved highways were built throughout Europe. Without this vast road system, the Romans would not have succeeded in conquering and controlling most of Europe and the Mediterranean basin. The Inca road system consisted of two north-south roads that followed the spine of the Andes. Today, parts of the road are still in use, including the trail that leads to Machu Picchu. The Chinese, Inca, and Romans built vast transportation systems. These architectural marvels allowed them to conquer cultures by controlling the movement of armies, food, and trade goods throughout their empires.
Long before the Inca Empire rose to power in South America, the people of the Norte Chico region in northern Peru designed and built one of the earliest known urban centers in the Americas. Carbon dating has confirmed that buildings in the region, including those in the city of Caral, are at least 5,500 years old.
Todo el Perú, toda América estaba habitada, pero es en el área norcentral del Perú donde se forma esta civilización con un desarrollo precoz.
The city of Caral was the most prominent of the 20 or more cities in the Norte Chico region. It featured pyramids, sunken circular plazas, platform mounds, and residential neighborhoods.
Porque tenemos 150 fechados radiocarbónicos que sustentan la antigüedad comparable con las civilizaciones del Viejo Mundo.
Podría decirles que hemos identificado en este valle de Supe a lo largo de 50 kilómetros 25 centros poblados.
The buildings in the region were built on a foundation of quarried stone and river rock, transported in reed bags to the construction sites.
O sea, se nota que entonces ha habido pues autoridades organizadoras de las actividades de la población que residía en estos centros. Hasta en el más pequeño no le falta un edificio público y una plaza circular hundida, que tiene mucha relación con el sistema social de esta civilización.
The Norte Chico region is prone to earthquakes, and the engineers of the day designed buildings that could withstand seismic activity.
Y estos edificios piramidales tienen tecnologías sismo resistentes.
Innovative design techniques were used to prevent buildings and walls from collapsing during an earthquake. A grass called shikra was woven into a meshed bag, then filled with stones and used to form the retaining walls and foundations of buildings. The construction of short wall sections prevented major damage during an earthquake.
Que también dicen que es un principio antisísmico.
The accomplishments of this ancient society that existed more than 5,000 years ago reflects a society that had superior engineering skills, an advanced social and cultural structure, and a strong sense of community pride. In the high Arctic region of North America, indigenous people had to adapt to the extreme weather conditions that existed most of the year. High tents were used for summer homes, and in the winter, whale bones, sod, hides, and snow were the building materials commonly used for housing.
The engineering, that goes into an igloo, it's built in a dome shape, of course, but that's not the most amazing thing. The entrance way down low traps heat inside the igloo. Because heat rises, you sleep about halfway up the dome. And that's, one of the warmest places.
Snow houses, or igloos, were used for both hunting expeditions and as semi-permanent winter homes. Sleeping areas and storage spaces were placed near the wall, and the central area was a communal space for cooking and daytime activities.
When you build an igloo, you test the snow to make sure it's even all the way down, because where the layers are, the blocks will break. Usually you find a place with snow on a slant. You start at the top of the slope and trim your blocks like into a wedge shape. You trim your blocks so that it goes up in a spiral until you get to the top, and you lean them in, so you make a nice dome. You stick the last piece up through the hole and you trim it so that it fits right in the hole, and you just let it drop, and then you're done. If you build your igloo that way, it will not fall down. You can actually climb up on top and it won't fall down. It would be nice, if somebody could find the original igloo. But of course, snow melts every spring, and
the extreme weather conditions and scarcity of building materials in the Arctic region led the Inuit people and their ancestors to develop innovative housing designs that were used for thousands of years.
The construction of pyramids in